He hasn't spoken a word.
Hello, creeps. It's your old pal, the Crypt Keeper. And you are now tuned in to my good fiends at Talks from the Crypt, the most gruesome podcast in the world.
Sweet. How should we open now? God damn it.
Did you hear that?
You what?
First, return guests. Grim Life Collective is back, ladies
so
and
sorry.
gentlemen.
Yes. As Jessica said, I'm sorry. It is the return of the Grim Life Collective.
I think one of my favorite quotes from our first episode together is you said, if people are going to go back and watch my videos, they either need to be drunk or high.
Nice stiff drink and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right down the rabbit hole.
So what have you guys been up to? Long time no see. Been about a year or two, maybe?
I want to say 2.
Well, actually, I have on great authority that it was the year 1692, the year
Yes.
that they burned the witches is when we saw you last.
When we were traveling the 7 seas.
Yes, yes. But we have returned. Since we've seen you last, we've been across the world and back.
Yeah.
We've been to Italy. Germany, back to Scotland, Wales, England.
Forget about Wales.
Wales, it's its own special place. And then here we are.
You just said you did a couple cruises too, right?
Yeah, we've gone to the Bahamas a couple of times.
Is that on the Disney cruise?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that.
It's
I
actually-
seriously want to.
It's a great time.
Now, when you're in those cruises, do you ever feel like, okay, this is meant for children or is it meant for adults? Because I've always get a little insecure. When I'm
Heavily
thinking-
both.
Yeah.
Heavily both.
So you see just straight up adults?
Honestly, go for the food.
Yeah. All free.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it never stops. You can have as much as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When people hear Disney cruise, they automatically think Disney parks, kids running around. And don't get me wrong, there are kids running around. But on the cruise ships, they do have adults only areas, not like X-rated stuff, but like, no kids under 18 are allowed in there.
Yeah.
They have different activities and things. So it really is a lot of fun for all ages. And that's the key word, fun for
Yeah.
everyone.
Now, does it get tiring traveling as much as you guys do?
It does for me, but living out of the suitcase, I think, is what you get frustrated with because all of your collectibles, all your things are at home. So if you are without something, you can always stop at a store and that's fine, but it can be a little tiresome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would imagine you are just a Energizer bunny.
Yes. Yeah. I tend to be nonstop in one way or the other. I have no problem relaxing, but I don't like to.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly going. And it's funny, we'll be on the road for a month and I'm so gung-ho. I put all this time and effort into it. We're driving across a country from one border to the next. And by the last week of the month, we always find ourselves wanting to just throw the itinerary out the door and just go home and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And we do sometimes.
Yeah, we
There's been a
have.
handful of times where it's like, you know what? I know we had this plan for this day, but we could have really just cut that out and just
Yeah.
start driving home tonight. And we've done that like at least 3 times.
Like when? What is a video? What does an abandoned Grim Life video look like?
There really is a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing that
And I get sick when we travel. So that has a lot to do with being tired and things getting canceled.
Yeah.
People don't see this part of it, but they always, as a viewer, people watch Grim Life Collective and they see the finished product, the polished product. But in all reality, everything's so fluid. Things change in a single breath.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, well, we're going to go here and we got to drive 10 hours this way to correct something, or things change all the time. You kind of have to be fluid whenever you're just kind of floating around the world documenting life.
My
Yeah.
favorite is we'll have something big planned and we'll both be so excited to see it. And then we'll wake up the morning it's supposed to happen and I've lost my voice.
I could imagine getting to some of these locations and, does the camera take you guys out of the moment? Like, for example, you guys came with, we did the My Chemical Romance show. A couple months later, Alex and I went to all of the haunted houses. And a couple of times I pulled out my phone and I'm like, I'm not in the moment. And I had to put it back in my pocket. And a couple of times, years before, I would be recording the entire time. And by the time I leave the event, I'm like, I kind of don't remember anything. And I have to
Right.
refer to my cell phone now.
You remember your phone.
Exactly.
Is what you remember, yeah.
I think for me, it's a little bit different because in Grim Life, Jessica will hold the camera. She'll film some things. But for the 99.9% of the time, I am behind the camera. So I'm so used to viewing the world through it that it's natural for me.
You become one with the camera.
So I can't tell a difference. So if I'm at a concert, like at that concert, I did take some video on my cell phone.
Yeah.
Mainly for her because she likes to look at things and go back and remember.
But I'm also short. So,
But I can't tell the difference. Whether I have a camera or not, I'm still seeing the world through Grim Life.
Yeah.
even before we get there, he
Yeah.
already has an idea of how he wants it to be through the film. So once he gets everything lined up, I think we live both through the lens and through our eyes because he'll know the shot that he needs. We'll get it, first take, done, we're on to the next thing. But we do stop and appreciate though. So sometimes I kind of feel like Grim Life is almost through my eyes because over the years, I think we've gotten to a point where I was like, I kind of don't remember a lot of things. I remember seeing it through my phone or seeing it from behind the lens. And so I'm not going to do that anymore. Don't even tell me. I want to be surprised. I want my general reaction when we get there. And I just like the surprise of it now, of sometimes where we're going, what we're seeing. And he knows all about it. And I'm like, don't you dare tell me.
Yeah.
Just let me live it.
I think there was a conversation we had. They did the, what's it called? Dark Universe?
It's funny you say that because I think everybody knows what it is, but they don't know what it is because everybody calls it Dark Universe, but it's actually Epic Universe when Dark Universe is inside Epic Universe.
Yeah, Dark Universe is one of the lands.
So it's Darkmoor is the name of the town inside. So there's Epic Universe. Inside Epic Universe is Dark Universe. Inside Dark Universe is Darkmoor. And inside Darkmoor, there are two rides. There's the Curse of the Werewolf and Unchained Monsters. Universal Monsters
That's like
Unchained.
the awesome one, right?
Inside the giant castle, yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about it, and I think you guys were about to go, and you were telling me that Jessica was avoiding all the videos because she doesn't want to spoil it for herself.
That sounds about right.
I'm the same way. I don't do that. I want to be surprised. And sometimes you'll catch a glimpse on social media, but you're immediately like, nope, can't do this.
But also for me now with movie trailers, because I feel like movie trailers are really spoiling a lot of the plots in the movie for me, that he wants to look at all of them. He wants to show me everything. And I'm like, I don't want to see it. Because we were going to see something. I don't remember what it was recently. And a new trailer came out. I'd seen the first one. I was like, yeah, fine, I'll watch this one. And there was so much that I wish I would have seen just from watching the film and not through the trailer.
Right.
I was like, well, now what am I going to learn?
It's the new Ready or Not.
Is it? Yeah. Yes, it was. And I was so mad after I saw the trailer too. I was like, I would like to have seen that on the big screen.
Yeah, trailers are getting worse because they're showing a lot. But now I noticed that they're doing these teasers a lot more, where it's just kind of fast cut stuff.
I like that.
So why do you hate teasers? You want to see more of the juice?
Yeah, I want to know what my money's going to.
Okay.
I don't like going into something blind and going, well, that sucked.
Yeah.
I just wasted my time on that. You know what I mean? Like, if I can, if you know, that was the whole point of like trailers, is to convince people to go. And yeah, you're right. They are giving too much away.
But it still does happen anyway. There's plenty of times we've seen the trailers, excited to see something, and you don't mind a little spoiling. And then you're like, oh, this looks like a good movie. You get there, and the only good parts were what was in the trailer.
Yeah. You could see why they were in the trailer then.
Yeah. Or the trailers made it feel like it was a completely different film and went a completely different direction. And you were so gung-ho for a certain feeling and you didn't get that. And then you're like,
that was 28 years later for me. Did you guys like that movie?
It was all right for what it was.
Yeah. It kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
That exactly the same thing. The trailer I felt gave me a different movie than the movie that I saw.
Yeah.
I think we're probably more excited for 28 years later. We think that's going to be a better movie than the one that just...
Oh, Bone Temple?
Bone Temple.
Yeah, same. Well, it's weird because at the end of 28 years later, when those dudes with jumpsuits were doing backflips
the blondes.
and shit, yes, that was the best part of the movie to me. I was like, where was this the whole time?
Yeah.
So, and I think this new movie is all about those
like
guys,
the spin-off
right?
of them, which... I'll like it, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
it just looks comical.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I think it's out freaking
this weekend.
Couple of days, yeah.
Yeah. We just dated this video.
Yeah. Hey, well, now we're faster. You got Rusty in the command center, so now we're faster at getting these things out. I know that they did, there it is right here. When is it? Oh, January 15th on a Thursday.
We should go see it Thursday.
We should. I'm down.
Yeah. All right.
That guy right there, I think, is based on Jimmy Savile. I always said Seville, but I guess it's
We're not
Jimmy
talking about
Savile.
I
Voldemort,
always
right?
said Seville.
No, we're talking about the, what's his name? That actor's name right there. Yep. I'm surprised that he's not in the top cast. Oh, right there. Jack O'Connell. He plays Jimmy Crystal in the movie.
Any relation to Jerry?
Yeah. Yep. I can't wait for that movie. And I watched the Mummy teaser trailer after you guys talked about it yesterday. What's the slogan? What's happening with
What
him?
happened to Katie?
What happened to Katie?
Don't understand that yet. And is the Mummy a little girl in this one?
It looks like an adult, but I could have sworn sometimes last year there was some buzz about what happened to Katie. I remember seeing that tagline, and it had nothing to do with a Mummy movie that I can recall, but maybe they were putting out teasers and I
Right.
just don't remember it.
How do you guys feel about all these remakes, reboots, sequels?
The thing I hate is after COVID, it seemed like everybody was trying to jump on the nostalgia train.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got Hocus Pocus 3, it was because the nostalgia part of it. They tried really hard to like throw as much nods and Easter eggs in it. And they
Yeah.
did the same thing with Beetlejuice. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, you're not putting out a movie that people are going, wow. You're putting out a movie so people can go,
Oh, I
wow,
love the first
I
one."
remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. When it's
And that bothers me.
yeah, the too self-referential stuff annoys the shit out of me too. I hate that. But what did look good, and I cheated a little bit. I watched it, is the Scream 7 teaser.
You suck.
I watched it before I sent it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, dude, we got to watch this on the show because it looks fucking awesome. And there's a little thing at the end of it. We should play it. Yes. Oh, he's already got it nice and queued up. I might have to turn this down. Let's rip the audio for a second. Now
Oh,
we're
it's
gonna-
not a long teaser. It's only 30 seconds.
which is what I feel like it should be. You know,
Yeah.
show us just quick
Just get me
snippets.
excited.
Yeah.
I don't need you to give me all the plot points and a teaser.
Yeah. And this one's interesting too because we'll see. We'll recap afterwards.
So real quickly, I know we're just getting started. The very first shot, what is that? Is that a Kleenex box or something? We don't know yet. But what it looks like,
Looks like a coaster.
yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like a flower. A couple months before David Lynch died, he put out an album with somebody. There's like Christabel or something like that, and that looks very reminiscent of the cover. So
Yeah.
I was looking at this, I was like, oh, David Lynch, but nope.
Play it again.
Yes, I got it.
Hello? Do you like scary movies? Surprise, Sydney. I've been planning this for a long time. Your daughter is the same age you were when this all started. If you hurt her, I'm not going to hurt her until you're here to see it. This is gonna be fun.
Who just said that? Whose voice was that at the very
That
end?
was Stu.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the second I saw the psychiatric room, I knew it was Stu.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the only way that he can come back.
Yeah, I love those shots too where someone's hiding behind something and the knives are going through the wall. It's
So-
amazing.
Scream, amazing movie. Absolutely love Scream. Absolutely love Scream. But depending on how deep you decide to go into the lore and fan theories of Scream,
Mm.
Scream 7 is a trippy idea.
Yeah.
Like, and we could sit here and talk for hours on the Scream series.
Let's do it. We've got all the time
Well,
in the
like
world.
no, like the two biggest ones. The first one being
Are we paused right now?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But we can be.
I wasn't sure.
well, like Scream 7. I'm stupidly excited for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Scream series, but the main reason I'm so excited for Scream 7 is the original screenwriter Kevin Williamson is back.
Yeah, Andy's directing it.
Yeah, which to me is like, aside from Wes Craven, it's the next best thing that could happen to this series.
Yeah.
And then the very first opening scenes are kind of like that tip to nostalgia that we were just talking about, where it was like every phone call and then they show the montage. I hate things like
Right.
that. I don't want to see that. That's
Yeah.
already done. Show
Yeah.
me new stuff. But when you said whose voice is that, I mean, I know you were pointing that out, but do you know the whole fan theories about Scream 2 and Matthew Lillard?
I typically steer clear of fan theories. They mostly just piss me off, but I'd love to hear it.
So in Scream 2, Matthew Lillard is actually in Scream 2.
Interesting.
He's in Scream 1, obviously as Stu, and you know all that stuff happens, but he's actually in part 2. You can see him in the background.
Yeah,
because
he's just like a background character,
yeah,
right?
he
Like,
was
no name.
dating somebody on the set. I don't remember who it was. I should know, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
You could
He'll pull it
literally
up.
see him.
Yeah, so he was
You
actually.
remember what scene that is? Because I think we could YouTube
you
it.
could probably find it, and because it's people see it all the time. But he was actually on set visiting his girlfriend while they're filming, and they just threw him in the background
And
without even thinking about it. And there he is.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll connect that together.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
You know, like they incorporate the fan theory.
Like he was there this whole time.
Well, I think it said something in the trailer about how every killing has led to this or something like that.
Yeah.
So with that theory in mind, I feel like I've already guessed the plot. So yeah, trailers can spoil things. And I guess with all these sequels and remakes coming out, I mean, people say that it's because we're running out of ideas. But I don't know. I like seeing different iterations of these things.
I don't mind having sequels. Sometimes you actually end up liking a sequel more than you like an original.
Yeah,
And I think that's the problem because then you start pulling out gimmicks.
right.
And yes, that can be fun, but oftentimes they're just kind of cringy.
Yeah. Well, when people become too familiar with the framework, it becomes a parody of itself. But it's hard with Scream, though, because I feel like it's always been self-aware and it's always kind of been a parody. I don't even want to say kind of. It pretty much is a parody of slasher movies.
Yeah.
So it kind of works. I'm excited to see another scary movie come out. Those are my
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
favorites.
I want a stab movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I love walking into, do you guys have been to the Mystic Museum recently?
Mhm.
Mhm.
They just had that stab set up out in one of the rooms. I love that shit. That's why I love LA, man. I feel like you guys have everything.
We're
out there.
spoiled.
Yeah.
100%.
Like fruit.
We just got the Horror Unleashed, which is cool to have, but it's year round. And I fear for things like that are year round horror attractions because a lot of people, especially in Vegas, which I feel like you guys don't have in LA, but in Vegas, they want to keep Halloween to October. Whereas I feel like in LA, it's kind
All
of a
year.
year-round thing.
It's a year-round thing. Yeah, there's pop-ups. There's events happening all the time.
Yeah.
I get this impression about Vegas, and don't hate me if you're watching this and you're from Vegas, don't hate me for saying this. But I get this impression that in Vegas, nothing ever really lasts long. Like they want it to. Like I think I read somewhere that Penn and Teller's 25 or 35 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're coming up on the anniversary, like at the same casino.
Right.
But Eli Roth had a haunted house here that didn't last too long.
I wish I could have seen that.
It was
Right.
awesome.
Bring
So,
it back.
It
Bring
was
it back.
amazing.
I think no matter how good something is, I think the nature of the town, dust brings it in, dust takes it out.
Yeah.
So I don't really expect things to last as long as they do
Right.
here.
Well, the moment something gets a crack in it, they replace it with an LED panel. So that's definitely the shitty part about living in Vegas. But I notice Hollywood's kind of doing the same thing,
Yeah.
right? You guys are tearing down a bunch of classic spots.
Los Angeles, California, Southern California is pretty notorious for that. Oddly enough, the only place that we've ever noticed that really embraces their film history is Oregon.
Mm.
So,
yeah.
like, you go to Oregon. I remember we did the Goonies filming locations and Twilight, and you actually go to the spots, and they have these really nice film office plaques in the spot that tell you what it is and a little QR code, and it's all over the state.
That's incredible.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's become one of their kind of tourist attractions, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that's why you guys like Europe so much because you're getting shit from
history.
centuries ago. They don't
Yeah.
tear anything down.
It's wild over there because for the most part, there really is no markers for things like that. Maybe some here and there. But when it comes to like pop culture, horror history, there's really not. You kind of like anything that you come across, even though if it's well documented, you feel like you're unearthing something from Middle Earth.
Right.
You know, you're discovering something.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I can't wait to go out there. I'm petrified of fucking airplanes, though. Can't do it.
Take a boat.
I know people have recommended. I'm terrified of boats, too.
Take a tranquilizer. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah. To pop a Xanax.
Yeah.
One time we were going to Cabo, which is like a fucking 2-hour flight. And I took a Xanax, but I didn't realize that we had a connecting flight in LA.
Ooh.
So I was just fucked up in LAX for 2 hours. And by the time we had left to Cabo, I was completely sober. I had to deal with my fears head on. But it was nice. And also, when I was doing the TMing for a little bit, you notice after the second or third flight, you kind of get used to it after a
Yeah.
little bit. Did you
I
guys,
used to.
you used to be afraid of flying?
In the very beginning, I started flying when I was a teenager. And if you focus on what you're actually doing,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely terrified. But if you learn to just compartmentalize, you're fine.
It's the takeoff and the landing that really fuck
Yeah.
with me.
It's the part you feel the most.
Yeah.
The G-force and all that, yeah.
Did I ever tell you that flying is landing is one of my biggest fears?
Really?
but not so much that we're going to crash and we're going to like go up in a ball of flames or anything like that. I'm afraid that my teeth are going to shatter and fall out of my face.
How so?
It was this dream that I had when I was a kid that my teeth shattered for whatever reason. So every time that we fly and we're coming down to land, I look over at her and you see that face?
Yeah.
So we'll fly in the middle of the airplane. I don't care who's around. I'll do this until we
time.
land.
And
Because that way, if it doesn't do this, my teeth don't shatter.
it's been
I don't
effective.
even look at him anymore.
Yeah, I've had some pretty weird dreams about flying before. And you never know if your dreams will turn into a reality.
Mine have.
Has it?
Yeah.
So you've had prophetic dreams.
I have, yeah.
Do you mind me asking which dreams? Or are they personal?
It's personal, but I think it's something that I've probably talked on the channel about before. But I saw my dad dying.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Whew. Damn. Yeah, and how long before it happened?
months.
Oh, okay.
It was
so-
kind of almost recurring. And then after he died, I dreamt of him,
Yeah.
and it has stayed with me. It's very haunting.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't like negative in any way, but what he had to say, because it was a direct. So I don't see faces in my dreams in general, and most of my dreams are actually extremely apocalyptic. So almost always my dreams are death and destruction. Since I was a small kid, and
Yeah.
they're so real that I actually mistook a lot of my dreams as memories as a child. And taking me out of one is like taking a person out of an avatar. I'm really living a whole other life, but for like months I saw it happening, and then after it happened, I actually saw his face. Like he sat down and he spoke with me directly,
Yeah.
and I've never experienced that since.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had similar situations. Like I didn't have any before someone died, but dreams could really fuck with you because my grandma died, and for like weeks after, I'd have dreams of like having conversations with her. And you know those dreams where you wake up and you kind of forget reality for a second, and then
Yeah.
the crushing memory of everything just comes crumbling down, and you're like, oh wait, I don't live in that world anymore. So it's odd. It kind of makes you think about like,
I download information,
yeah,
like self-aware. I'm aware, and I will download information.
right.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy dreams?
I have I'm a lifelong member of Night Terrors.
Oh,
Yeah, I have them all the time. And last night, in my dream, we were in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. That it was this. So you play Fortnite?
yeah. Well, I have. but-
Okay, if you play Fortnite, you know like the buildings. Like there's a lot of buildings. They're buildings, and they're on these like giant 2x4s. Like they're like elevated. They have these weird elevated things. So
Mhm.
in my dream, I was in like this weird like Fortnite looking cabin thing, and we were trying to survive being attacked by 2 coyotes and a bear.
Oh,
And I woke up this morning with a coyote biting into my leg, and I remember kicking, and that's what woke me up. And
You
I
were
was like, "What
kicking
the heck?"
Jessica in bed.
Well, no, she was on my right side. This is my left.
Ah.
Yeah.
no, I hadn't heard this one yet, but I was thinking of. So he doesn't always remember them. He'll have physical reactions when he sleeps, and I usually have to wake him up, and I'll try to get the dream out of him as fast as I can because he usually
Oh my
doesn't
God.
remember it. But the other night, I think was the best one he's had so far.
So before we came here, I woke up at 3:00 in the morning. I had this really horrible, bloody, disgusting, gruesome, grotesque, gory dream. Like it was wow. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to sleep because I knew for a fact I did not want to have that dream
yeah.
again. It couldn't get any worse than that. But I got tired and I decided going back to bed, and there's no way I could have that same dream again. Well, I had an even worse dream. So I had this very rare record, like an LP,
Mm-hmm.
that we went to a show.
A
And
convention.
No, it was like a performance. It was like a singer who was doing like this water aerobic show.
We collect signatures, by the way. We were very big signature collectors from celebrities. So
Yeah.
go on.
So we were so excited. It was so rare to meet this person. I had this like 1 in 25 record, and I was like, "Can you please sign this for me?" And she goes, "Yes." And she pulls out a pencil and she signs it in pencil, and I'm like, I'm at a loss for words, and I'm losing my mind. And you can see how it looks like if you were to just go, it would just like erase. It would just blow off because it was
Right.
like the laminate. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. And I'm telling her, and she's like, and I told it and it all fell off. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I decided to go back over and talk to her again and say, I'm sorry, but your autograph on my precious item rubbed off. It just blew away. So she's in a swimming pool. So she reaches over, she grabs it, and she sets it down and she starts to sign it, and it starts to disintegrate in the water. And I start losing my mind in this dream, which I guess that's like my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Is something like that happening.
Losing your most beloved possessions.
Yeah, not blood, guts, and gore.
So
Yeah.
whenever we do shows where we are guests, we always have an agenda of needing someone's signature on something. And there's been a lot of times where we've had a very priceless item and the signature has not been great. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Which is always frustrating because you know that these celebrities have done so many shows, and it's like you should know how to sign something by
Right.
now. I certainly do.
Yeah.
I would never, make sure that something wasn't perfect before I touch somebody else's item. And some of these people, you can tell they don't fucking care. They just want to get their money and leave. And so the second he started to tell me this dream, he's a bit more particular and will fuss about something that I'm always like, well, I mean, that's what happened. I can't replace it. I can't get it redone. So it is what it is. I'm going to make peace with it and fucking move on. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. Right. And it will eat at him. And he will bring it up like 6 times in the next hour and being like, are you sure? I'm like, dude, like we can't change it. Like it's happened. We
Right.
just need to move on. Get another item and have it signed if you want to. So when he started telling me that, the second that I heard, and I was brushing my teeth, the second that I heard him say that I had a really bad dream and he said something about getting something signed, I just stopped and waited. And then the pencil came out. I was like, oh my God, no. It's like the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because it's so clearly residue from your guys' lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's just incorporating it into your guys'
Well,
dreams.
When we do conventions, we have this wonderful thing, this magical thing that happened to us that we're, as horror fans, we were able to go from being a fan that goes to conventions and stands in line for hours to actually sitting behind a table and having fans do that to us
Mhm.
and making friends and business, networking, like friendships with other people in the industry.
Uh-huh.
Don't get me wrong. At conventions that we're not appearing at, we will still go and stand in line for hours because
Yeah.
we're fans, right? So every time that we meet somebody, I don't care who it is or what they bring us, we always take the time to whatever they get signed. If they want something signed, whatever it is, we always try to make sure that it's like their most
Perfect.
prized possession. If the signature is wrong and or off in one way or another, in some way, we throw it away and we give them another one.
Mhm.
Mm.
We call it perpetual care. If they leave and they drop it and they go, oh no, something happened to it, bring it back. We'll give you another one.
Mm. Grim Life Insurance.
Yeah. And it boggles my mind that there's some people out there that have been in the industry for 20 or 30 years, or maybe not that long. And the convention spent so much money to bring these people out here to sit here and meet their fans. And some of these people, they wait hours in line and they go stand and they meet them and they're so nervous and they're never going to get this chance again. And the celebrity just goes
Oh, yeah.
like, oh, what on
Heartbreaking.
earth?
There's no worse feeling.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Have you had that happen to you?
all the time.
Yeah.
A
Can-
lot.
Can you name who?
Uh,
I'll beep it if you don't want it live. I just need to hear.
Well, we were very vocal about one person in particular, and if somebody's
But I
watching
always
this,
said that I'm not out on this person yet. I want to have
Yeah.
another experience to see if it's the same thing or if it was just a mood or something. And we did meet them again, and I don't know that it's been redeemed.
Ooh.
He seemed to recognize us possibly.
we've been very,
Uh,
yeah. If somebody's watching, they're gonna know. They're gonna put it in the comments.
All
You'll
of our
get it.
fans know we've
Yeah.
been very vocal about it. But
But there's been a few, but there's one that was been the worst, and it got to the point whenever we met him last, we were guests at the show, and still we went and stood in line. He was late getting there. We even paid because why not? Because we're all in the same thing. You're there to make money. We're there to make money. I'm getting something signed that at some point it's going to be worth a lot of money. I'll pay you for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to cheap it or whatever. But when his manager saw who we were, he refunded us our money.
Ooh.
And we still got to meet him and he signed our thing, but he was so nice. It was like meeting Jesus.
Interesting.
And it was like, he still, but he took his time in his own way. It was almost like he knew that we talked about him at one point.
Was it Tom Savini?
No, Tom's
No.
awesome.
Tom has
Tom's
always
awesome.
been amazing with
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those people that you got a 50-50 chance of getting good Tom or crunchy Tom.
Yeah, I got crunchy.
Has he eaten?
Yeah.
Is what you want to know.
Well, here's what's fucked up. The bad interaction I had with him, ironically enough, he was in the middle of eating. And some people would say, well, dude, that's your fault. He was eating. There was a line. I just joined in. He
Right.
was signing and eating.
So the thing about Tom Savini is, Tom, if you're watching this, hear me out.
He's not.
Every time
You
you
never
meet
know.
Tom Savini, he has that face, that mentality, that history about him as a special effects artist. He always seems like he's in a bad mood. He always seems like he's just having not a miserable day, but he always seems like he's always like serious and stern.
Stoic, if you will.
But he's really is just a lovable guy.
Right.
You know, like I'm friends with him. We'll text every now and then whenever we're in Pittsburgh. It's like, hey, you want to get together? Last time we were there, it was Sunday. He does not work on Sunday. It's family day.
Yeah.
Family is very important to him. And we saw him in Indianapolis, and I went up to him to have him sign a Planet Terror poster. And even though I talked to him and we're friends, he still scared me. I was like, God, was Tom in a bad mood today? No, it's just Tom. You know,
He's a
So-
scary guy.
yeah. So we have bad moments behind the table. Other people have bad moments. We're all human beings. It's just
I
sometimes.
actually have new bad experiences besides the
Ooh.
one that we had talked about before.
Oh yeah.
The people that you think are going to be the nicest have been the worst. And the people that you were kind of afraid to meet were absolute sweethearts.
Right.
Because, like, you know, the online persona and some of the cameos they do of themselves, you know, they do cameos where they're like just a complete jackass and asshole. Yeah, that's them.
Are they pictured in that?
Yes.
Oh. I don't
3
know,
of
I
them.
guess. Was it him?
No, oh God, I wish I could meet.
There is somebody in that photo that is all right, I'm just gonna say this. There's 2 people in that picture that we're gonna talk about. I'm not gonna mention them. One person, the person you think is gonna be the nicest was the worst, and the person you thought was gonna be the worst
was the
was
nicest.
the nicest.
Am I tripping or is that guy's name Sir Ian McClellan?
No, that's Sir Patrick Stewart.
Oh, it's another Sir.
Another
Yeah.
Sir. Yeah.
Huh? Oh, see, he kind of looks like Magneto.
In the world of conventions,
So he did play Magneto in some of the X-Men movies. In the first X-Men movies, it was Sir Patrick Stewart, and then Sir Ian McKellen stepped in for the radio. You were half right.
They're
You
just
were
trying
there.
to confuse me now. The fuck's up with these casting people?
in the world of conventions, it's a weird relationship between celebrity and fan, fan and celebrity, however way you want to look at it. You know, you both have responsibilities, whether you realize it or not.
Right.
You know, as a celebrity, you have somebody who's coming up to visit you, to meet you, and they have that one moment.
Mhm.
And no matter what, and I'm guilty of this, if you're in a bad mood, you have to really try not to let that tarnish that experience.
Yeah.
Right. And also at the same time, fans who come up have to also, and it's harder for them to look at a celebrity and go, they're just a human being and they might be having a bad day.
Mm.
So it's this weird kind of like magic relationship that happens.
We've gotten the same feedback actually.
Yeah.
When we've just done a show, thought we had a great time, and then somebody starts writing out online that we're like the worst people ever, and it's like,
Oh, Jesus.
what?
Yeah.
Really?
And that you don't know what someone's expecting when they come up to you, and they might
Yeah.
be very shy. So you try to like kind of get them out of their shell, and nothing's happening. So you just continue because you go, oh wait, they're not comfortable, so I'll be on their level. I won't force them to be outside of their shell, and that's
Right.
fine. And then they go and bash you online
Yeah.
because they didn't have the star-studded experience they thought they were going to have.
Yeah, you guys have
Yeah.
to deal with like a whole new side of fan interaction now that you guys are so big.
But like, you know, there are YouTube content creators out there that do meet and greets, whether it's in a park or in a mall or someplace like that. We are very adamant that, you know, we are very aware and we are very thankful that it's because of our fans, the people who watch, that we are able to travel the world, that we're able to, instead of going to work at Walmart or Subway or a business office that we can travel the world as a couple, right? My train of thought just disappeared.
That dude, it happens to me all the time.
We do our best to take our time with every single
Yeah.
person that comes up to say hello. And everybody knows I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
Even when I'm advertising something, I'm like, you better give me hugs. I demand it. It's my right. I want it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's at least maybe 3 fan encounters where I normally don't respond to anything online because it's too much. And I have personally made responses and then they have backpedaled
Yeah.
in the comments.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. The train got back.
The train is back at the
The
station.
train is back. We were very adamant about if we were to do any, because we love our fans. We wanted to meet them. We wanted to say thank you. And we didn't, we were never comfortable with just meeting somewhere willy-nilly at like the park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's no
It
protection.
doesn't feel safe.
No, but like we're in the horror community and the horror community is very tight and they're very genuine and they could sniff out bullcrap if there is bullcrap. And so we figured if we're going to do meet and greets, or if we're going to meet fans, let's try to do it at horror conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you, Brandon, were coming to the horror convention to meet us for the first time, yes, you were meeting the Grim Life Collective, but you also could meet Kane Hodder, Robert Englund, Daniel Harris, all these other people. You can go shopping. You can watch a movie. You can hang out with an after party. You can make some friends.
Go
do
to
some
some really
cosplay,
awesome panels.
right?
Yeah.
It's an experience. It's not just us. It's something where you can experience a world.
Right.
That was important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell people all the time, just because you come up to see us does not mean you have to buy anything. If you come up and you just say, hey, thank you, and then you shake our hand and walk away, we did our
Awesome.
job. That
Free
was
of
awesome.
charge.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's funny because I have made friends along the journey of doing the show. Friends I've never met, just online. They've reached out on Instagram and they're like, hey, blah, blah, blah. We get into these conversations sometimes and they'll be like, oh, you should have blank on your show. And I'm like, oh, I don't know who that person is, but I'll try and reach out. And they're like, wait, what? You're not friends with this person already? I think people think that the creators of this genre, because you were just talking about how the horror community is very tight and everybody is super friendly with each other. And I feel like that's more with fans than it is with some of the people up top. It's very politicized, very competitive,
Very cliquish.
very cliquish. And we got into it a little bit on our last episode together. But now that I've, continued doing the show and I've been in it a lot longer, I'm realizing how cliquish it is. Are we allowed to talk about this?
Sure.
I mean, I think we
Yeah.
should. I think
Yeah.
it's a very interesting topic because if more people at home knew how doors are almost closed in your face
Yeah.
sometimes, intentionally.
Like the most common one that we deal with, and that we try to put as much knowledge out there as possible, is that we do a book ourselves, but it's not up to us to be appearing at someone's convention.
Yeah.
It's really up to the promoters or the owners to have who they want there. Sometimes it's up to the agents. We get asked all the time to do specific conventions and they simply don't want us to be at their convention. So as much as we would love to go and see people there, they don't want to
Yeah.
have us there.
And then you're right. You said that it's very opening, very open and very friendly. And you said it's more the fans than the people at the top. You're 100% correct. 100%. So much so that it parts of what you don't know tick me off to no extent.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, there's people out there that we haven't met, or people that we have met briefly that own some of these conventions who absolutely refuse to have us anywhere near them, and they even call us names.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we don't know each other personally.
And we
at
never
all.
did anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yet the best part about this is going back to fans being true, or fans being what's the word?
Authentic.
Authentic. There is one convention in the United States that we know for a fact does not like us at all and has given us a name.
Are they in Pasadena?
No.
Mm.
And we actually laugh. We think the name is kind of cool, but they met it as a very derogatory kind of name. But we still buy VIP tickets to their convention to go meet the guests that they have.
You're a much better man than me. I will say that. I will go out of my way to not do things that are associated with haters.
So
But that's good. That shows that like you're just there. You guys are both just there as fans.
Yeah.
We're fans first.
Fans first.
Always have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you guys maintain that? How do you guys not let the professional side override the fan side sometimes?
That is a little bit more hard to figure out. I like to say that I chalk it up to Jessica and I kind of live in our own little world.
Yeah.
I mean,
I let things go easier.
yeah, she lets
Mhm.
things go easier. I've learned to let things go easier. It's still hard, but we exist in our own little space, in our own little world. We kind of shield ourselves from so much, not meaning to, not in a bad way, not like trying to protect things, but like we, yeah. I mean, we as a couple, like we're going to Scotland and the whole UK for a month and a half, almost 2 months. You know, while we're planning that to go stay night after night in hotels and a rental car and go out and film and seek out spooky, strange places, a lot of our viewers or most of the world are sitting at home going, okay, I need to figure out how to pay this bill. I got to go to work. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to go take little Timmy to soccer practice, you know? So it's like this weird world that we live in. So when we do get to encounter people, whether it's at a convention or at a Walmart in the middle of the Dust Bowl America, in the middle of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
I love when people come up to us. Like
But I think also, as far as us remaining fans outside of what we've built, is that, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think that you guys have severely underestimated how big of nerds we are.
yeah.
And I mean that in the best possible way because, I'm very happy to be a nerd.
Well, nerds used to be nerdy. Now being a nerd is cool. I feel like the nerdier people are, the more interesting they
But
are.
the horror family is still the nicest of the nerd communities,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that calling more attention to the competitive nature of, you know, the people up at the top are important because I know a lot of people who try and make their own shit and they're kind of afraid to and intimidated to. And when I started the show, I thought like, oh, we're fringe people. We'll be able to jump into this community and be welcomed with open arms. And unfortunately, it wasn't like that. To the audience members, it has been. But to a lot of other fellow creators, maybe even convention owners, I haven't had much experience in that. I've always found it interesting that like once they hit a certain level, they're too big for their own britches. And you guys have maintained that kind of humble nature,
What?
which I love.
I was thinking about this exact thing the other day, and can I change to a story?
Of course. But
I didn't know if I.
can we hold that story for 2 seconds while I spring a leak? Sorry.
Yes.
And then we're going to cut to wide and then boom, story. Sweet.
I'm always fascinated by little DNA differences of every single person. You know what I mean? Like you have the most beautiful brown eyes I've ever seen. And then
Me?
like he has hazel and I have gray. And like, I think yours are blue, you know, and it's, I love the little differences that make us who we are. I think it's a beautiful thing.
I've never been told my brown eyes were nice.
Are you serious?
I've always thought that brown eyes were like bottom of the barrel of
No.
eyes.
No.
Interesting. And you do have beautiful hazel eyes. What color are your eyes?
Gray.
Gray?
Yeah.
Like legitimately
Gray.
gray. Wow.
Yeah. Everyone probably, in the inside, my pupils always dilate pretty wide. So you don't get a lot of color around the
Mhm.
rim. But in the sunlight, my eyes are like a white gray. They're not blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
No,
I had
I've
those
always-
color changing
Brown eyes have, for me, have always been like top tier.
Really?
Like absolutely, the darker the better.
So
Yeah.
hazel, I think, is a combination of blue and green, right? Or am I fucking out of
Brown
my mind?
and green.
Brown and green.
Brown and green.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wish I had hazel. My brother has hazel eyes.
Yeah.
Fucking's always made me jealous since I was a child. So we're gonna cut to the wide before that bathroom break. I'm just gonna remove that entirely. Story, but you gotta act like I didn't go to the bathroom.
Did you flush?
I did.
I don't even know what the story is. So we're both
Oh,
just
yeah.
like surprised right now.
So I love I love reels. Like watching reels, like doom scrolling and stuff like that. And like, obviously, I mean, there's some that you watch, like every now and then we'll lay in bed and TikTok will have us just like belly laughing for hours, right? It's always some stupid animal. But I never go through and I like them. And I just kind of oh, that's fun. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. There's like maybe 5 that I've actually saved for myself that kind of inspired me in one way, shape, or another. And one of them goes to like what you were just saying. You know, I want to say, and I don't know if I believe this, but like my gut wants to say that I don't ever want to trust somebody who's creative and is so content or why can't I think of words? They're so sure of themselves. Like, you know, I'm going to make this and people are going to love it. And it works, you know, and I like creative people who are scared. You know what I mean?
Who are
like
taking the chance.
Yeah. Like everything they do is a risk.
Yeah.
You know, even if they've made it, it's still a risk, you know, somewhere deep down. Like to me, that is like, that's the true meaning of like being a human or like,
so like
art.
The people who you think know that they're going to get big numbers regardless of what they put out. So they just do it anyway.
They just do it
care.
anyway. Yeah. And the other day, 2 days ago, I was scrolling through something. It was one of the, I can't keep track of the acts. Yeah, I just hit like and like, you know, save. But it was Henry Rollins was talking about way back in the early part of his career, he got a phone call, him and his band, asking him if he would want to play for Ozzy Osbourne, like in like a concert down in Florida. He was up in New York. So he was like, heck yeah, I'm a big fan of Ozzy. So him and his band flew from New York all the way down to Florida. I think it was a festival. It didn't say in the clip.
Ozfest probably.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he was like, so like, oh my God, it's Ozzy. Oh my God, it's the Prince of Darkness, you know, sold out crowd and stuff, right? And he got done with his set and he was sitting back there and he was watching the show and Ozzy came up behind him and Ozzy was like, hey man, you know, this and that. And he asked Henry Rollins, is there anybody out there?
Mm-hmm.
Did they show up? Like he was genuinely nervous and he was shaking. And Henry Rollins was like, what the hell was happening here? What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, he said it again. We got another fuck out of Michael. I need a cunt by the end of this one too.
So,
that's more me.
Yeah.
I'm the one with the cunt.
Yeah.
Wait, that's
and we got a cunt.
not how that was supposed to sound coming out.
Oh yeah, I just got
So he couldn't believe what he was hearing, and he was visibly shaking. And Ozzy told him that he's nervous before every show.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was genuinely afraid that nobody showed up to his show.
Yeah.
Like to me, that is like, it doesn't get any cooler or much more of a showman than that.
Yeah, I feel like even like Paul McCartney says that he still gets butterflies before he goes up on stage. So I respect that as well. And you really hit the nail on the head when you said that is art. Like that is creativity, because we are, and I talked about this a little bit on my last episode, but we're creatures of certainty. And so we're comfort in things that we know. The moment something becomes uncertain is when we start to feel those nerves and shit. So I don't know. Sometimes I wish I was like a delusional optimist where everything I got into, I was just happy about, but I can't. I've got that bug where no matter what, and you guys talked about it a lot on our last show about how I think you referenced Carrie. They're all going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
And do you guys still experience that kind of nervousness today?
Oh God, yeah.
But that's good. It kind of keeps you on your toes.
I've been trying to do my own thing for years, and getting the very first one out is the hardest thing you'll ever do in life.
Yeah.
And it's the fear, it still keeps me from doing it.
That's interesting. So like your own like channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Have you planned on what it's going to be?
Something that's separate from what we already do, because we're so established in that. Just something that shows my personality a little bit more, which tends to be kind of comforting people in a way, but like things with ASMR, you know, sound ways to help you sleep or to calm down, or hey, let's do a little exercise today.
Yeah.
Let's just be stupid.
Like the thing.
Yeah.
I love those.
Thank you for coming to my AS.
Get the tingles. You're just like, oh yes.
Because I get that.
Yeah.
I've always gotten that response. It's called atomic sensory meridian response, something like that. And so I actually I get goosebumps across my skull and down my spine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that sometimes in podcasts too. Hearing other people's voices could sometimes do that for me.
Like the closeness of it where you can hear the little pops.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but that's cool. And I love to hear that. What is that? ASMR meaning.
Yeah, autonomous sensory
He's
learning.
good.
Yeah, real fast. I like how we could also see when it peaked in terms of search results. But that's cool. I feel like, 2019 is like when it exploded. No one searched it before that.
It did.
How do they have search results from 1800?
I've been watching videos that would do that kind. I used to create my own with just my camera at home of random sounds. I've been doing that for 20 years. And then all of a sudden it became a thing on YouTube, and it wasn't big at first, and then it just exploded, but it exploded with people doing role playing.
Yeah.
And that's not the kind that I ever really jumped into. For me, it was like the sounds of a plastic bag or something, you know, certain types of plastic that when you're opening something, it just makes it like the best little crinkle sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see, and I know you used to do it, Michael, but what happened to the daily vlogs? I like daily vlogs. I'd like to see behind the scenes a little bit. You know, you guys getting to a location.
Yeah.
I know you were saying on the last episode that you guys have to wait a really long time for these people to leave, so it looks like you guys are there by yourselves. I want to see that. I want to see the waiting.
We've considered all these things before, and I think in some way we've tried to do them before. So he would be like the main doing whatever, and I'd have like my phone or a smaller camera and capturing just some behind the scenes moments. But everything happens so fast sometimes that you don't adequately capture anything.
Right. Yeah.
And to do that daily is a lot.
Well, yeah. Daily vlogs, like
Me just sitting at the edge of the couch watching you edit every day with like a little camera.
like
Naked, by the way.
right, yeah. Oh, I'm 100% nudist in our
Yeah.
house. I never wear clothes. Hotel room, the moment we get in there, things are gone. So I don't find any part of our life boring. I don't. But to me, the thought of a daily vlog of our life is boring.
Mm.
I don't know how to say that, but make it not feel like it's boring. There are people out there that do daily vlogs and it works for them. Like when we did a cruise, we did a 7-day, almost like daily vlog. And let me tell you what, those were some of the hardest videos for me to edit because I was bored as sin editing them and going, oh my God. Okay.
But people like to see that. They
But
like to see you doing mundane things.
Yeah.
I think it's comforting.
I know, but like as like, you know, to go and film it and then to sit down for hours or whatever and edit it and go, why am I editing myself putting books away?
Mm.
To me, it's like weird. It's weird. I mean, I get it. I would like to do it, but I'm not as passionate as I feel like I should be to do it. There's somebody out there, Casey Neistat. Do you know him?
Mm-hmm.
He for a long time he was doing daily vlogs. Now he does like a video every couple months and it hits like 20 million in 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's insane.
But he was doing daily vlogs and I really liked his approach where he would pick one thing, almost like how we do. We like do like this big video on like the
Single topic.
right, Annalisa Michel, right? He would pick one thing where it's like, okay, for instance, living out in Los Angeles, he was going to go to a certain store out in Santa Monica because they had something. And while he was there, he decided to go to the beach. That was his video. It wasn't from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed. It was just like this one little aspect of his day.
Right.
And it was edited so simply. I like that. But it's a weird kind of thing that I fight with. Like in my head, every video that we put on YouTube is, in my head, it's a documentary.
Yeah. I mean, they are.
Because they're so high quality too.
Yeah. So to put my way of thinking or how my mind works into a daily, I'm just going to film my mundane stuff. It doesn't compute to me like it should.
But also like most of those things, I think for the most part, people film on their cell phones, and by God, and you guys will fight me on this, I know, I don't feel attractive enough to do that, to film those kinds of sequences. Like, and I know not everybody looks like perfect when they film these kinds of sequences, but a lot of people do it with, you know, the messy bun and all that stuff. But I have a very hard time viewing how I appear in film and putting it out into the world.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I have facial dysmorphia, I think.
Yeah.
I have a couple of different dysmorphias,
Yeah.
but that's a part of it, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the type of shit that kind of like makes you stronger. I realize the better I get at the show, the better I end up being everywhere else. Because you have to tackle these different insecurities. And when you're on camera, you're editing them, of course, you have to deal with these things head on.
I said that once in a live. I don't remember what the topic of conversation was, that I didn't think that I was pretty or I didn't think I was beautiful or something like that. And people just lit the chat up. And I was like, listen, guys, I'm not trying to like pity, sympathy or anything, but it's like, this is an honest truth that I myself can go, oh yeah, I've got nice cheekbones or I like the color of my eyes or something like that. But I'm not one of those people that goes, you know,
Yeah.
I am this beautiful whatever thing. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. But I'm not like, I'm not that lady.
Right.
You know, I'm not this person, this video. It's like, I don't know if I can have people look at me like that every day because I have big insecurities about the way that I look.
Do you feel like social media plays a part in that? Like psychologically, we're always comparing ourselves to that other lady or, you know, that other person.
Yeah. And I think doing a daily vlog, I think plays on that a lot harder than what we do.
Well, like you said earlier, getting the first one out's usually the hardest one. After you get used to it, it's just like part of you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm still trying.
If you go back far enough on Grim Life Collective, I don't know if they're still there. I might have removed them all. I don't know. But there's, speaking of the intro, now there's no intro, but it was the Grim Life Collective intro. But way back, there was a different intro. There was an original. And it was, It's a Grim Life was the title of the daily vlog. And it was whenever I was working full time and I couldn't afford financially or couldn't afford the time to go and explore places. So I would just pick something in that moment, kind of like I was talking about, like Casey Neistat, just pick one thing and just kind of go do a video on that and just put it up as often as I could. And that was a lot of work. That took a lot. But at one point there was something like that. And I credit those early days and our theme park days as what made us comfortable in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
It taught us how nobody was watching them. They're so bad, but it was me in the camera, or in the theme parks, us in the camera. And it allowed us to just kind of learn what that language was like.
Yeah.
The first time he put me on camera, I was not for it at all.
She was like, get that out of my face.
I wanted to be behind the camera, not in front of, but there's something that people often don't realize too, is that how close the lens gets to your face. I absolutely can't stand it. Cannot stand it. It's like right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to get close.
Yeah. And then I feel it distorts the facial feature. So that's another part of like not feeling attractive on film. And it's like, I don't look okay. I don't like the way that looks.
Yeah, that is a big thing that people don't take into consideration, is how different lenses could make your face look different. And I don't know shit about lenses, so I wish I did. I'd be able to optimize these ones. The best looking.
The only problem I have with your setup, and I love your setup.
It's
if you're
beautiful.
watching this, I don't know if he's ever showed it, stuff like that, is why the fuck?
Oh, he said it again.
That's two.
2 fucks.
Is the Pizza Hut pizza so small?
It's not.
Yes, it is. Look at the Game Boy right next to it.
Oh, well, the Game Boy's big. Compare it to
So then it makes
That's
the
a
TV
personal
really
size
small.
pizza. It's a personal size pizza.
But like, if any true Halloween, any true horror fan
Family size.
is going to
You
be,
said it right there. It's the personal size.
yeah. But still, it's barely bigger than a cassette tape, a video cassette tape. Look at that.
Well, you must have never had a
The Halloween
personal
2
size
looks
pizza.
like VHS, but the Exorcist looks like Betamax. What are you working on here?
Hey, dude, I paid some guy in Spain to do this years ago. I don't know. I just like the vibe of it.
Yeah.
No,
I like that
it.
it's got Pizza Hut and Mountain Dew. It kind of reminds
I
me of
think-
when
I
I was
like
a
it.
kid.
I'm just messing with you.
Everything you do is
Yeah.
you're friends of ours, so we've told you this before, but for everybody watching, what he does, in our personal opinion, is just top-notch beautiful.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Well, I feel the same about your guys' content. There was actually a little change of pace, and I don't know if you guys have done this before, but your Area 15, or is it's 51? I get confused because now we have the Area 15 in town. But the Area 51 museum, the laser gunfight you guys had, Jessica evaporating into a green skeleton, has to be my favorite bit you guys have ever done.
That was, so we're visiting Tom Devlin here in outside of Las Vegas, and he has a new museum for aliens. And we go in, and just on the spot, he and I just started brainstorming. We went, let's do it. And
Yeah.
one take and done. That was it.
Well, and I loved how much it kept cutting between you guys still shooting each other.
All right, that scene, let's break it down. Okay, so that scene, that whole thing, that whole opening, we at this point, we haven't even gone inside yet. So we didn't even know if it was going to be a good museum.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, listen, if we get in there and it's like, hi, I'm an alien, nanu nanu, and it sucked, let's create something that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew it wasn't going to because we believe in Tom Demlin, though.
Yeah. But like just on that rare occasion. So we decided we made this up as we were going, as we were doing the thing. And I don't know if it was you or if it was Waleed who was like, had the idea of him standing behind there with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Waleed.
It was
Yeah.
him doing it. And then, oh, there it is. And then while we're editing it, I thought it was done. And she goes, you need to make the fight a little bit longer after he says, are you guys going to go inside? And it was brilliant because it extends it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he almost cut this little bit after Waleed is like, so...
And I hate this. You can see how it like wobbles the focus. It bothers me. You can't tell now that you see it. You're going to be like,
camera
it was the same camera that we used, but the white balance or the white of everything else was just thrown off. I didn't set it properly. It was all in the spur of the moment. So this here, Jessica said, you got to keep it going longer before we did this.
That's the best.
Yeah. And I'm standing on a chair trying to be out of frame
Yeah.
on a string. But
Oh.
the thing that I love the most about this, even though it was made up
so bad.
it was made up on the spot, is to me,
We were just having fun.
Yeah.
it was, I'm going to sound so full of myself. You're going to be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Or I'm going to convince you to think that we're like amazing. But even though we made this up on the spot, to me, while I was editing it, and look at that face, to me, this is the most brilliant piece of filmmaking we've ever done. And I'll tell you why. When Scorsese was making The Departed,
Mm.
and it was Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson and stuff like that. And there's, again, with reels that I have like saved. DiCaprio's telling the story about the scene where Jack Nicholson and the hitman execute the husband. And
The ad lib.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's sitting there and Jack Nicholson's like, well, you could end it there, but if you just took it a little further and did this, it would make it even better. But you could end it there, but if you took it a little further and you did this, to me, that's what she did there. Where it was like, it was good the way that it was, but if you just throw in that extra little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it makes the scene.
Well, it adds like even more comical timing. You've seen it in movies where it goes on a little too long, and that's what makes it funnier.
Yeah. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and I love this entire video. I was honestly surprised. Is this in Boulder or is
Yeah.
this closer to Area 51?
It's right next to Tom Devlin's Monster Museum.
Oh,
So you can
I thought it
actually
was-
buy a combo ticket and go into both.
Yeah, let's punch it forward like maybe 1 minute. Yeah. Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Love that room right there. But I thought that the what the fuck? The props were very well done. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, better than I don't want to say that live.
Bigger on the inside than what I thought.
But
A little bit of They Live.
Oh, I was looking at the butt.
a little bit of wiggles.
Yeah.
Where? Oh, your butt. I'm like looking at the fucking. Yeah, this is great. Now, do you guys believe in aliens?
Absolutely.
Yes.
A little bit of a Joe Rogan-y
yeah.
question, but
Yeah.
I have to go there. Now, you say
Absolutely.
absolutely. There's conviction behind that.
Uh-huh.
What's your theory and why?
The galaxies go on for hundreds of billions of, space is infinite.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way we're the only living people here. Absolutely no way. Now, are we the only living people in our solar system during this point in time? That very well might be. But I don't believe that we have only ever been the only living organisms in this entire galaxy,
Yeah.
this whole living, functioning universe.
It feels impossible.
Feels
for
impossible.
that to be the case.
Yeah.
I see you cooking something up.
I come from a long line of conspiracy theorists. My
Yeah.
uncle and my dad, stepbrother, it was my uncle, but my dad's stepbrother. My uncle is obsessed with Led Zeppelin and aliens
Fuck yeah.
and David Bowie. And my dad is obsessed with the Doors and Bigfoot. And they
Mm.
both love talking about JFK.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And So I grew up around that stuff, and I'm a 100% believer, but I'm not going to get too much into this because it is a rabbit hole.
No, we
But
love
I'm
rabbit
going to
holes.
send you down a rabbit hole. Have you ever thought that maybe we are the aliens?
Well,
There's a theory that we are the aliens.
mhm.
And it's a rabbit hole. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm just going to say after this, I'm going to remind you, and somebody's going to be like, "Ooh," they're going to stop watching your video and go down this rabbit hole, come back. It's trippy. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Is it with the pyramids?
No,
No, not that one.
But like, I'm going to be 46 this year.
You don't look a day shade over 20.
Maybe.
Well, thank you. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I'm not going to lie. I know that people are going to call me crazy, but I find myself going, you know what? Maybe there is some truth to this theory. It's wild, but like, yeah. Well, I don't know why I brought it up because now, we're gonna
Dude,
talk
now
about it.
it's
Nope.
like you already gave me the foreplay. I
Nope.
need,
That's
damn
it.
My favorite theory is that the pyramids, which is very similar to the movie Stargate, is that the pyramids were a way or source for like a landing ship to bring us here as slave labor.
Mm,
Because everything about the way the human body is built is not adapted to this planet.
Yeah.
Every other living thing here on this planet has characteristics that make it livable for them to be on this
wish I
habitat,
could tell you
regardless
about
of what they're in the desert, the forest, the snow, or whatever. And we're the only ones over how many thousands of years that we still have not adapted to live in this environment.
wow, that is something I never really thought about before. That's true.
Like
Right.
any animal born on this planet Earth can live their life.
Yeah.
Humans need assistance.
We
Mhm.
we don't adapt to it. We don't like
No.
our bodies don't go, oh, well, let's learn this. And then it's every other organism, every other whatever can survive on its own. We
But
can't.
we can't.
Our
Yeah.
babies die if we don't take care of them.
Yeah. Well, it is insane to think that we're the only people in the fucking universe.
The whole thing.
Like, what? How does that
Yeah.
make sense? Like you said earlier, there's an infinite amount of space, but I don't know. I've heard scientists, I don't even know their name. I think they're scientists, but they've talked about how it is equally impossible for there to be enough elements and things going on in a planet to create life as it is for there to be no life anywhere. So,
Mhm.
like, we're actually the miracle.
And oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like anymore. We don't like telling people what we're going to be doing, what we have planned,
Mm.
because weird things, it's not a big deal, but like sometimes, a lot of times lately, up until we stopped, we would say, oh yeah, we're going to go do this video in the next 6 months. And then before you know it, everybody else and their mother goes out and does it. So we like to keep
Yeah.
our cards close to our chest.
I don't even think I told you, but I just saw, not someone that we know, but we put out that Annalise Mitchell video, which is not something no one else has ever done. But, there's no anniversary that comes up. And so the timing, I think, would be interesting that like mere days, I think 2 days, there was a whole article that came out from like somebody, I have no idea, but it came up on my feed and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Did they
Yeah.
mention the right house or is it the other one?
I didn't even read it.
That's how you
It's
can
one of those
tell.
things where like you go to see something and your feed refreshes before you can
Yeah.
touch it.
Yes.
And I
it
lost
sucks.
it. Yeah.
Especially with that story. I'm not trying to be like we're the only people that can go do things. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's what it really comes down to is if let's say we're planning a video on the Lost Boys filming locations. We've done that video a long time ago. Everybody goes and does it. But let's say we're planning on doing that. And I tell you 3 months ahead of time, hey, we're going to go do this video on the Lost Boys filming locations. You go, wow, that's cool. I'm
That's
going
a
to go
great
look to see
idea.
what other people have done.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you've watched so many videos, but by the time we watch the one that we've done, it's not, oh, wow. You might like it because we're going,
Mm.
but it's not like that wow factor.
There
Right.
has been times that we've seen, not any time recently, I don't think, but there's been times that we've mentioned things and people have actually rushed out to do it before we could.
Yeah. Which is fucking annoying.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't announce my future guests either.
Mm.
And not as much for like the reason that I think anybody else is going to go do it. Because a lot of these people are fucking hard to get a hold of. But like what happened the other day, guests cancel all the
Mhm.
fucking time. So it sucks announcing something and then you're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I am going to tell you this
Oh,
because we're on the subject.
breaking news.
Kind of. This year, we are planning to do a big video on Bigfoot that in a way that nobody's ever done before.
Like, are you going to go
Can't say.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, and then I
No.
realized he's gonna be
But-
Mystique.
If we can pull off what we are planning, which is going to be bat crap crazy, what's in our head, what we want to do, it's going to be pretty wild.
Didn't you do a Loch Ness monster video too?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, and
Well, we go
speaking
everywhere
of,
during winter and fall
yeah.
for
Well-
the right lighting.
while we're there, Loch Ness. So there's the Loch Ness monster, and then there's a cemetery, and above the cemetery is the Boleskine house, which was owned by Jimmy Page, and before that it was owned by Aleister Crowley, and it has a history of burning down. And when we went there, they wouldn't let us anywhere near the house. They were like, no.
New owners.
New owners, they were renovating it. And they seemed to be very adamant about not so much talking about Aleister Crowley being the most wickedest man in the world. They don't want to go into the rumors, the legends, the lore,
Mm-hmm.
even though that's what sells it. Instead, all they're really saying is Aleister Crowley, leader of the occult, lived here. Who knows what he did? He probably didn't do anything, but he lived here. We know that for a fact. Everything else that they can't prove, they're not talking about. But they completely renovated it. And the grand opening is the day that we're going to be in Glasgow.
Oh,
So some people are like, oh, I've already bought my ticket to go see you in Glasgow in Scotland. And then somebody else would chime in, honey, we're going to be at the Boleskine house that day. Oh, no. So
Are you guys gonna go too?
probably not.
well, it's not in Scotland. It is in
It's in
Scotland.
Scotland. It's not that we wouldn't go. I mean, we can't go for the opening, but that trip for the most part has been already planned and it's already set in stone. We never really change things. We very rarely change things once it's set in stone because there's so many moving parts to existing in a foreign
Right.
country for
Well, I've heard about your masterful itineraries, so
lies.
I wouldn't want to touch those either.
Lies.
But the Annalisa Michel, am I pronouncing that correctly?
I think so.
Yeah, I think Michelle, Annalisa, Michelle.
Miguel.
Yeah.
Well, I love that video that you guys just recently put out, right? It was just like a month ago.
Yes, technically that was the revised, the
I think that
redone.
was our last Germany video.
Yeah.
So what happened with that? Because I know you reshot it. There was like a couple of people saying some shit, probably talking shit. You guys went back out and proved your point?
So it was one of our first videos that we did. We flew into Frankfurt, and before we rented a car, before we started our massive road trip, we went down to this place called Klingenberg, Maine, and like an hour south of Frankfurt. And we did this big video on Annalisa and her family, the exorcisms, 67 exorcisms, and her grave. And the German media, the entire world, everybody who knows anything about this story and what happened to this girl, the house that it happened in burned down. There's video evidence of it. Everybody knows. The world, there's pictures everywhere. The house burned down. It's gone. So we went, we showed where the house was. We showed the clips. We showed everything like this. Within 6 days, it was like 70,000 views. YouTube was like, because we actually put pictures of what happened to Annalisa in this, like her being malnourished.
Mm.
And YouTube was like, nope, over 18, which automatically you can still watch it, but you have to be logged in and you have to be logged in and over 18 years old. But at that point, you're making no money off that video,
Yeah.
right? It's no longer monetized. It's deemed not advertiser friendly. It is what it is. It was a great video.
That happens sometimes. We just leave it.
Yeah. So we continued on our trip. We're up in Berlin and we're getting ready to head west towards Cologne,
Boom.
the cathedral. And we catch wind that there's this massive ice storm coming. Fuck.
3.
How are we going to, we're driving across country.
I'm editing a fuck counter.
There's an Autobahn where people can drive God knows how fast they want, and it's going to be an ice storm. While this is happening, I get an email, not one, not two, but 3 emails. We'll talk about that. From people who actually live in that town, not in the house, but in the town on that street. And I was like, I brought it up to her and I was like, I don't, we might have fucked up.
4.
We might have fucked up.
5.
And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, there's the people that claim to be living in this town that said that the house did not burn down, that it's still there. And we dug a deep dive up like all night in the hotel going, can't find any information. And then we found it. There was a scholar, this well-known author who would write these autobiographies about people, wrote one about Annalise and what happened to her. And I don't remember what chapter it was. I was obviously I couldn't buy the book, so I was buying like the ebook and just reading this book on her life, skimming through it. And it said the Michel house at the base of the mountain of the grapes on the mountain.
The vineyard.
Yeah. On the east side of the cemetery with the window overlooking the cemetery. And I went, fuck.
We saw that house.
Yeah. That's not the house that burned down. And I read it a little further and it actually said the name of the street. And we're like, fuck. I'm just having, he's over there. So I emailed them back and we were able to confirm it. And so we decided, instead of driving away from the ice storm, we decided to drive 5 hours straight into the heart of the ice storm to go back to that town, which is why it looks like it's so icy and it's so cold.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of
so we can film
two
that
videos
again.
where I actually had to tap out. It was so cold and I had to go sit in the car.
Oh, geez.
It was so cold. I was out there, I guessing this is hypothermia, because I was out there. It was so cold that eventually I didn't feel it anymore.
Right.
It was just, I was warm. I was like, well, I'll just keep going. And do it.
How does a story like that get misreported? Like, how did they report that the fucking house burned down?
So,
Oh.
yeah, a lot of the people that, I'm not going to mention any names.
Mention them.
So the people that reached out to us were a lot younger than us. A lot of the people that live in that town, a lot of the old timers, they're still alive from then. I mean, it only happened was 1973, 74.
Mm-hmm.
They did not want people coming. There was people, I mean, somebody came, they burnt down the chapel that her father built for her. They burnt down that house. And knowing all that now, when you go back and you watch the news clips, they're so vague. You go, they never once said that it was her house that burned down. They said that her ghost, some people think her ghost was in the window. The Annalisa Michel house, or the house that was the house that was next to the lumberyard. And you assume that it was that. And they believe that it was
The town bearing a story.
The fire wasn't intentional. Well, it was. It was a firefighter that started it. But they believe that it was done or controlled in such a way that it would just deter people from coming and visiting. And then what do? Respectfully, we're all about documenting history, good or bad. We called it out. We actually put the correct address there. So if you want to go, be respectful, take flowers to her, but just know that her story, sad, should not be covered up.
Right.
You know, remember it.
History is history. You can't change it.
Well, you guys played these audio tapes of her exorcism. That shit sent chills through my spine.
Yeah. And, you know, I do read the comments. I do read the comments that people say. And, you know, do I believe that she was possessed? No. Do I believe that she was, at the time, mental illness? Yes. Especially like whenever you talk about like the Catholic faith and what or who can be a demon, and the people, the supposed demons that were in her body, according to the faith or Catholicism, should not be. So there's something going on. I don't think at all is possession.
So you don't believe in possessions?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I
So
do.
just not in her case.
Yeah.
Why?
For that, I mean, I think that
because she was already being put through such harsh conditions.
She had a lot of issues going into it, and I think that the family had a lot that there was just a lot of bad decisions, and a lot of people relying too much on faith. But I think looking back at it, that there was just a lot of
back in a time when I think there was very little knowledge on proper mental health awareness and acknowledging it and being able to properly diagnose it. And then, so if this medicine isn't working for you when it obviously should because it works for everybody, you know, then obviously you're possessed.
Yeah.
And
But that audio tape, it's like,
don't get us wrong. We could be 100% wrong. It's the mysteries of life. You know what I mean? Things happen. We have no idea. But some days in my head, in my heart, it's possession. Other days it's somebody who it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't, you know? So to really get, when we did the video, it's the condensed version. It's like the Cliff Notes version, you know? The book that we referenced at the very beginning that we're talking about this goes so deep into what was done to her, her medical history and what the family was going through, what the town was going through at the time leading up to it, like the social climate. It's pretty wild.
What's the book called?
He's going to pull it up. The Exorcism of Annalisa Mitchell, I think it is.
And her movie, or she was, a couple of movies were based on her, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something Rose.
Yeah. Felicitas Goodman. That's the book right there.
Interesting. I'm going to grab one of these. Super interesting. So she died of malnutrition.
She was 66 kilograms.
Was this after she was already being treated by priests? Like,
Yes.
was this like so that's insanity.
Her demons wouldn't allow her to eat. She wasn't allowed to eat, but the demons that possessed her.
Yeah, but
something
her
like that.
parents had a history of doing that to her already, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No.
So this just happened out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Started out with like small symptoms, like at first they thought that she
Epilepsy.
had epilepsy,
Mhm.
possibly like fainting spells or something like that. And it wasn't, I think, for the course of years before they finally just thought that she was possessed.
Yeah.
I think it started when she was about 16 years old, and she died in her early 20s.
How long is that audio clip? Is it a long one?
Hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hours. You can sit there for hours and listen to it. It's pretty chilling.
I almost want to listen to the part that's in your guys' video. I mean,
Sure.
of course, people should go watch it, but we should pull their video up.
And we couldn't use
listen
a
to
lot
that.
of the audio from the original file because somebody had made a record of some kind and actually copyrighted
Really?
one of them. Yeah. And so we
Jesus.
got a copyright strike and we had to remove parts of it.
Yeah, so a music group took some of her well-known
Most
parts,
popular.
most
Uh-huh.
popular, and put them in the end of their song.
And then
and-
copyrighted the song.
And then copyrighted the song. So
Yeah.
if you use any of that, then it's copyright.
you get a strike.
I think there's captions that come up
Yeah.
that we'll be able to see.
Yeah, it's that there with the black line.
Well, this is the last rites, absolution.
It just,
I love that you guys leave flowers too.
Always. If I'm able to, I love to leave flowers at graves.
so baby Goa.
There's a part where she
This is
says
the part-
Hitler's inside of her.
It's in the beginning.
Everybody
there.
knows.
No,
Her
towards the
final
beginning.
resting place.
Probably around like
But the house where it happened, the house where the exorcism,
Ooh,
right-
right there.
yeah.
Ihr müsst weichen. Ihr müsst aber weichen. Im Namen des dreifaltigen Gottes.
Der Judas und der Nero, der Kain und der Hitler. Fünf sind wir.
so try to imagine that.
Now, how do you hear something like that and go, I don't think she was possessed? That is the most possessed person I've ever heard.
Well, that's one of those things where, I mean, the more you try to educate yourself, especially with like, so let's say the, and I'm not an expert in any way, shape or form. So I'm just kind of like throwing a spitballing this out in just conversation. So take this with a grain of salt. which I feel like I shouldn't even be talking about this part of it because I don't know for certain. But I don't know the details of it. But in like the Catholic faith, I can't get into it. Like I don't want to like say the wrong thing. Does that make sense?
Wrong in what context?
Meaning not knowing. I'm just kind of guessing.
Yeah, no, we're spitballing.
Okay.
Nothing
so like
here.
in the Catholic faith, my understanding that human beings cannot become demons.
Mm-hmm.
So why are some of the demons that are possessing her actual humans?
Mm.
Hitler, Nero, Fleischmann,
priest.
who was a priest that killed people.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people took a lot of problem with that.
How old was she in that audio clip?
23, I think, something like that.
Okay. Because like if she was young, I'd be like, well, how does she even know who these people are? Because you've heard those cases of possessions where they're speaking a language that they've
They don't
never
know.
learned.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that she wasn't possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know the facts of the rules of Catholicism, but if she was possessed and some of the rules are living people cannot become demons, then using that little piece of information should automatically dismiss it, according to the Catholic faith.
Yeah.
Right. But
Mhm.
again, there's hours and hours and unexplained stuff. Well, she kept getting
Well,
worse
I guess the
and stuff.
distinction then would be we don't believe that she was possessed by the devil or demons, that she may be possessed by spirits.
Mm.
Or according, the devil's a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe the 6 names that she was given were just lies.
Were false.
So again, you kind of go, yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Was she? Was she not? Yes, yes.
And was she lucid this entire time and sometimes not falling onto her own psyche? Because that's the thing that happens too with people who are mentally disabled, or not mentally disabled, but people who have mental disorders, where there's this weird cycle that you fall into where you can't break it yourself and you will play the role.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of people in asylums that believe they're possessed because it's just a part of the damage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy shit. And I can imagine just walking on the grounds where it happened. I mean, the house is literally right
Right there.
beyond the field that you guys
Well,
are standing on.
I moved not this. Yeah, you can see it. The next one.
That is
There
where
it is.
67
Yeah,
exorcisms
that
took
is
place.
insane.
That
Giant earmuffs.
is where she
Now,
Laugh
yeah,
every time I wear those.
I actually just noticed those.
according to
How
the
cold
world,
was
the
it?
house burned down.
It was,
-3 Celsius.
Oh my God.
which is around 18 degrees.
Confirmed it
Jesus.
with people actually
Yeah, I
living
cry like a
in this town
girl if
on
it's
the street.
50 degrees in
Thankfully,
Vegas.
there's no wind. You can see the trees,
So
but
if
it
you
was
do come out here,
terrifyingly chilling.
pay your
Well, and I
respects.
love that you left
You wanna see the
no
house
background
better,
noise
you
on
just
and it's just your guys'
respectful
boots
to
hitting the
who's living there
gravel.
now.
Very atmospheric. And yeah, it's oh, there's the house right there.
Yeah.
Respectfully, this is
Oof.
the house where Annalisa
Very
Mitchell
creepy.
died. Mittler
Yeah, how do you guys decompress from shit like this? Like, I notice that when I do a lot of true crime episodes back to back, I kind of have to just like, oh,
Palate
okay.
cleanser.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of like murder and just terrible things. So do you guys have a ritual, a decompression ritual?
Not something specific where it's like, okay, well, now that I've had all these things happen in a day, I need to go do this specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's just driving on and leaving the area, going to get food,
Yeah.
and then you're brought back to like society, modern society,
Mhm.
and traffic.
Yeah. Or Disney cruises.
Or Disney
Yeah.
cruises. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I think because mentally for me, when we do videos like this, or the Wonderland Murders, or Ed Gein, or anything that has such brutal history, there's been a few times where I've gotten choked up, or Jessica's got choked up.
Mhm. I've
But
cried a couple times.
what
Yeah.
makes it easier for me to walk away from it and go to the next thing, or to leave this and just kind of turn it off, is every time that I turn on the camera or visit something like this, it's always through what I consider an educational mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I'm not sitting there. I'm not going to explore a place because I'm so overwhelmingly sad that I got to pay my respects to my Catholic sister or something like that. Or I'm not crying because this brutality happened. I'm going there because I want to know. I
Mhm.
want to see that this place really does exist. I want to inform other people. So in a way, I guess in a way that kind of like formed my mind in such a way that
Yeah.
it doesn't affect me like that.
I don't think that we've ever been affected by anything long term that we've done an episode on.
Except for the Ted Bundy one. But that happened in the middle while we were filming that, while we were making that video.
Yeah,
that got me.
I don't think that there's been a time when we've turned the camera off and been done with it,
Yeah,
and it's
no.
followed us home, so to speak. I mean, and probably Ted Bundy, I think, was the one that got to us the most because it was spread over, I think, a couple of weeks that we filmed that because it was in multiple locations. And
About 2 days.
yeah.
Because we did
Was
one
it?
and then we went and
Oh,
spent
yeah.
the night and then we drove to Tallahassee. Referencing that, serial killer Ted Bundy was ultimately caught down in Florida, and he killed a 12-year-old girl, Kimberly Leach. And when he abducted her, and from the point from where he abducted her and dropped her body off, he, in an interview, said that he drove down this certain road with her body basically next to him, or like in the back seat. She was like out, like unconscious. I think that's what it was. While we were making the video, long hours on the road, I was working like 60-hour work weeks. We were doing YouTube videos on the weekend. So we went and did this video on the weekend, and she was taking a nap next to me while we're driving the same road that Ted Bundy was talking about. And it freaked me out
Yeah.
because, you know,
Unconscious girl next to you in the car driving down the same road.
Yeah.
knowing what we're filming, and we're literally going to where he dumped her body.
Jesus. You're
And that-
retracing his steps.
That messed with me. That was the only
Yeah.
time that anything has like really messed with me. That
I don't think I
just
could
thought
even
about
go
it.
to where her body was found. I think I was too creeped out by it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, choosing your guys' topics, I mean, we got into it a little bit on the last episode, but there's, a couple of people in my head that pop up, and I wonder why they haven't done this, or I wonder why they haven't done that. I think you guys did a Night Stalker video once,
Yes.
right? I think
We went to where it was caught. Yeah.
Yeah, outside the gas station.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I feel like, that happened in LA. Didn't Bundy, I think it was in Florida, but didn't he do some shit in San Francisco or Sacramento?
Yes. Yeah. We did a Bundy video in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He was living up there before things went way too crazy. Like he was in a relationship. He was in a healthy relationship while all this stuff was going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's quite alarming. We just got contacted by this guy who, I don't even know if I should say it, should I? Probably not. Well, we were contacted by somebody who says they have a compelling piece of evidence against a still anonymous serial killer. And I get curious. I'm like, do you guys get hit up by these people as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got one yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say?
I probably could. I mean, we get contacted. I've been contacted directly, and I'm sure he gets a lot more than I do. If they're finding my personal page, because I don't have anything that says Grim Life, Jessica, whatever. I just my personal accounts I've always had. So if they're finding me on those locations, I'm sure it's just a fraction of what he gets in the email. A lot of times it's just someone will see that we're coming to their town or something like that, and a family member or friend was murdered or missing,
Mm-hmm.
and they want us to cover it.
Yeah.
Or I've gotten a few where there's been no information found yet, so cold cases, and hoping that if we cover it, it'll help unearth something, in the end. We get those all the time, yeah.
Have you guys ever picked one up?
No.
So, go ahead. I got 3 points. But go ahead.
As much as we all love true crime, I think that getting involved is too personal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that hits just too close to home, like bringing it into my personal space, like going to someone's actual home and then, going through like all their evidence. And also that would take a very long time. What we do, a lot of the facts are already out there and we can research and condense it into these either 30 minutes or 1 hour episodes, which also take us days.
Mm-hmm.
To do something like that, where you're pouring over all this information coming from another person, the time to do that, I can't imagine, would be weeks. So that's one thing that I kind of go, as much as I would like to, I don't think that's for us. But it's also bringing these people into our personal lives, because you would have to have such an open line of communication that at that first thought, it just makes me want to keep people at arm's length.
Mm.
I think about things a lot, and when it's all said and done, like life, there's 3 goals that I don't really voice, but like they're in my head that I would like to have happen in the life of Grim Life. 3 things that I like to accomplish. Like there was like little steps, you know, it's like, oh, it's a plateau. And one of them, it goes along with what you were saying. People who's lost somebody, or whether they're missing or somebody was murdered, and by all means, they deserve so much time so that they're found, that all the time in the world. I don't feel like we have the proper time to give in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that we could. I wish we can help everybody. I mean, if it happened to us and a family member, we'd probably drop everything and just be like, fuck, let's do this, right?
7, 8.
But as the way things stand, we can't. So I would love at some point to do more true crime that's cold cases, with the hope that at some point it helps a family or helps somebody down the road,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it helps solve something. Like it's something that we do that can help aid that. And immediately it makes me think of the killing fields in Texas. In Texas, I can't remember the name. I want to say Equestrian
something. Yeah, it was a horse society.
There's a girl that died, one of the murder victims of the killing fields, and I can't remember her name for the life of me, and I wish that I could. But her father started a group, and that would go out and search for missing people that have no answers, like they just completely disappeared for whatever reason, and that's what that group does. It's like this nonprofit thing. And we went down, we did a big video on the Texas killing fields and her, and I wish I could remember her name. It drives me nuts. But it kind of hurt. Nothing that they did, but while we were doing the video, we actually went into the cemetery and we went to her grave, and we mentioned that this is the grave, the little girl that started it all. And we got kicked out of the cemetery by the cemetery.
Mm.
And all we were trying to do was like, which I get it. Whether people know this or not, cemeteries are private property and they have rules. And most of them, you're not allowed to film. You're not allowed to take pictures. You're not allowed to do any of that. And if you do get information, you can't show people's names. That's just the way that it is.
You're not allowed to film in a cemetery?
Yeah.
Interesting. So how do you guys do it secretly, or do you get permission ahead of time?
A little bit of
both.
We'll go in. We never try to hide it. We have a big rig. We do our thing. And then if it comes down to it, we'll ask for permission. If they ask us to leave, then we'll reach out to them and say, hey, this is what we want to do. We're trying to educate. Can we do it? Sometimes they say yes. Sometimes they say no. But we never try to hide anything. We're always upfront about it. We don't trespass. But it was I wouldn't say it hurt. Like it hurt me. Like, oh no, why are you doing this to me? Why won't you let me? It was just like you're telling the story that's big down here in this part of the Texas. Mm-hmm. And maybe they just didn't really know what was happening and they didn't care to know. So I would love to do that.
Yeah.
To create something that can help others.
Right.
And we do that in a way. Some people watch us and we're like therapy to them. And then the other ones, I have this weird like fascination. I want to like speak to a class in a school at some point.
About what?
Just like travel, or like, you know, what it's like doing what we do, you know, like career day.
Yeah.
I want to be one of those people that gets called in for career day.
Yeah.
It's like, listen.
There are professors that use our videos in their classes.
Which
Really?
is awesome.
Yeah. To teach.
I think
like,
we've met two that use us in their classes. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I
can't remember what they're professors of though. It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't remember. But like we'll do things like
maybe culture studies or something.
Maybe, yeah.
The Sleepy Hollow video we do.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has let us know in the past. We did a video that if you were to open up the book Legend of Sleepy Hollow, written by Washington Irving, and read it, we did a video based on that book where, you know, he leaves the tavern and he walks east across town. We went to the tavern. We walked east across town with the camera. He walked across this bridge in the park. We walked across that bridge in the park. And they show that video in their English class.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I live for that kind of stuff. I think that's awesome.
What about it in the stories are you guys interested in? You know, because it's pretty grim. No pun intended. People have asked me, like, why are you so fascinated with this? Like, doesn't it, you know, kind of make you feel disgusted? And I'm like, I don't know. There's something inside of me that just is more fascinated than I am.
By like horror or true crime or something specific.
Yeah, horror, true crime, all of this creepy shit, like retracing the steps of, horrific events. To me, to us, that's interesting, but to a lot of other people, it isn't. So I'm curious, like, what about it to you guys fascinates you?
I think the human being is the most miraculous thing in the world. Far more superior, far more better than any machine, any AI or anything like that. And the complexities of emotions that what drives you to do certain things, whether it's commit murder or start a family or travel the world or uproot and just disappear and your family has no idea that you're you know what I mean? That intrigues me. Human beings intrigue me. Which I guess that's why, like, most of our videos we joke about this, that someday whenever we're old and gray and we can't afford to go anywhere, or we can't go up and go explore, we're going to sit at home and go, remember whenever we did that? And then like, no, well, let's go ahead and watch it. We can pull it up like a digital photo album. It all comes down to the humanity of it all.
Or the inhumanity.
Or the inhumanity of it. Like what drives us.
The psychological side of it.
Fine. Say it like that.
I think regardless of the things you find interesting in life, there's always an origin to every single topic. And that goes back to tales being handed down from mouth to mouth through generations of telling stories. And most of the stories that always stuck were stories of caution. Don't do this, or fucking wolves are going to get you. Like, don't go out in the woods because I fucking told you so.
Right.
Wolves are going to get you. Whatever. And the ones that always stick are the ones that kind of scare you a little bit because it's a cautionary tale of not to do stupid shit. Even, Disney has lived on forever, but before then they were horror stories.
Yeah.
Actually,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, most of them. I mean, Cinderella, Snow White, The Little Mermaid. So Hans Christensen and the Brothers Grimm are the two authors that they took the stories from. I can't remember who did what because they mixed up in my head a lot.
Let me correct this now too, because I catch wind of this. I caught hell for this one. We did a video on the Brothers Grimm, and in the video we said that they were the creators of like all these things, which they are to an extent. Disney took it from them. But the Brothers Grimm traveled their homeland, heard stories, took those stories.
But they're the authors that we got them from.
But people are like, the Brothers Grimm didn't do it. It was somebody else. And
they weren't the originating storytellers of these stories. They're all folklore that were picked up from small villages and small towns and things like that. Like I said, things that have been passed down vocally throughout generations. And then somebody put them in a book. And the people who did that were Hans Christensen and Brothers Grimm. Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel, all that stuff. Almost all of them start out as, I'm going to say just horror stories because I'm not sure what the cautionary tale is in some of these.
Right.
They're just really fucked up.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy thing that just made me think about this. We don't have to talk about this, but just think about this, right? So
Little Red Riding Hood, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when he got rid of it, I'm sorry, I was too far away. I don't remember when the Brothers Grimm wrote these were like the mid 1800s.
1812.
So 1812. Can you imagine 200 years from now, 100, 200, 300 years from now, like people like looking at American culture and going, let's write cautionary children tales about based off of what happened in America in 2023, 2024, and 20.
Yeah.
Squid Game.
Squid Game. Yeah.
Like it's wild to think about, but yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, love stories have lasted just as long. You have Romeo and Juliet, probably one of the longest lasting love stories,
Right.
which is also kind of a horror story because they both end up dying in the end. It's a.
Thanks. Wow.
Oh man.
But I think I don't think that you can have love without tragedy. I think is my point, is that we're emotional beings, and horrific things happen in the world, so we need love, but we also need horrible things that keep us from doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
you know, and whether you like horror or not, it's around you every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can block it out as much as you want to. That's what I do with politics,
Yeah.
you know, because shit show, right?
Yep.
Especially because we travel the world. A lot of times people will try to talk to us about American politics, and it's like, listen,
That's
we're
a
not
trip.
doing any better than you guys are. Just
Right.
understand that, okay?
Mhm.
Like, we're all fucked, and it's
Yeah.
okay. But we're here together.
Exactly.
We have basic rules in the world of Grim Life. There's 3 things that we don't talk about: politics, religion, sports.
Sports. that's a
Not
good
at all.
addition.
Yeah. It's just, we never talk about our beliefs. We never ask anybody else their beliefs. It's to everybody to each their own. And let's just all exist.
Yeah.
Let's just do this thing.
The only thing that we ask people in that regard is if you're going to come in and comment or be part of the lives that we do, leave it at the door.
Yeah. I heard this saying once that I love. There's nothing you could say to me that I haven't said 2 inches from the mirror.
That feels very truthful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like I've called myself the worst of it.
The worst of it.
Well, now that you bring up comments, how do you guys have to get, there's obviously a ton of people that love you guys, but you have to get the other side of that as well, right?
100%. Yeah.
How the fuck do you guys deal with it? Because it drives me insane. I read one negative comment and I think about it for 48 hours.
The first rule of the Grim Life Collective household: do not mention,
read the
do not
comment.
acknowledge. But you read them, and they used to really, really, really bother me. And now they just kind of go in one ear, out the other.
Mhm.
And every now and then I'll see people, they'll leave a comment and it's bad. I'm like, whatever, screw you, dude. Or dudette, whatever. And then I see there's 30 people, and then they're battling each other. And it's like, go have fun.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, go ahead, because we're doing our own thing. That's all that matters.
You want to engage with your audience. You want to engage with your fans. But you can't do it all day long because that'll be a full-time job reading every single comment that comes in. So I think the best thing to do is allot yourself a certain amount of time. Like maybe for the first hour, I think is what you do.
Yeah.
And he'll go through and he'll like and respond and everything. But you really have to leave the negative comments alone.
Yeah. See, I'm bad at that. I'll go to war with
I know.
hateful comments.
I love that you do that though. I love that you do.
Some people do. I doxed a hater once. He commented some shitty things. And I was like, okay, he's coming to my business and talking shit. So I reverse Google searched his picture. I found him and I found the company he works for and I left him all 1-star reviews. And I was like, fuck you. Maybe a step too far. That was a long time ago though. I haven't done it in a long time.
I'd like to think that people that are leaving negative comments are doing it thinking, truly believing that it bothers us.
Or that if
that we're going to read it and go, oh, why am I doing this? I want to believe that is true. I hope to God that is true.
half the time, honestly, most of the time why I personally don't respond unless it's something just really fucking nasty is because a lot of our loyal fans and people who genuinely know or have met us, who know that we're good people, will get it before we can even get to it. So half the time I don't even need to bother.
Yeah.
So, but the following.
But people are vile. They hate me.
You?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
They do.
When I say I hope that they truly believe that, like, if you're watching this, I want you to know I don't care. I don't care. Like, if you're the type of person that brings negativity to somebody's creativity or somebody's life, how do I say
Fuck
this?
off.
Yeah.
How do I say this without sounding so like dramatic? You are worthless and not worth my time.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry.
They're also extremely jealous. Probably you guys are living a life that they want to. And so their only means of power is by trying to take your guys' mood down and make you think about what they have to say instead. I'm over here saying it like I need to take my own fucking advice.
It's easy to give it out than to live it.
Yeah.
It really
100%.
is.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, the people that take the time to leave a positive comment that our video or something we've said or just her in existence gives somebody the power to get out of bed.
or to do something for themselves that they haven't felt comfortable doing.
I wish that we had all the time in the world to acknowledge every single one of you and say thank you. I wish that we did, and we can't. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those comments do make a big difference because
Yeah.
sometimes you could really get sucked into the negativity and you
Mhm.
almost like, okay, and maybe this is just kind of a beginner's thing. I haven't in a while, but there was a period of time where everything I was shaping my day around was to fix what negative comments were saying. And in some senses, that's actually kind of productive, right? But once you do it for a while, you realize people will fucking find anything
Yeah.
to complain
You can't make
about.
everybody happy, so
Yeah.
you just have to do what makes you happy. Because there's a big difference between constructive criticism
Mhm.
and someone being a dick.
Right.
And I mean, there's people who have no problem admitting that their favorite thing to do is go on YouTube and leave shitty comments under
Yeah.
people's videos for no reason. They didn't watch it. They don't know the person. They just like leaving bad comments. One of those people is the girl from Stranger Things,
Mm.
Billy Bob. I don't know how to say her name.
Millie Bobby
Millie
Brown.
Bobby, yeah. Well, she's married now, so it's changed. But there's an interview where she admitted being one of those people. That
Really?
her guilty pleasure was going on YouTube and leaving really negative comments under people's videos.
Wow.
It's like a mean girl thing, you
Yeah.
know? And at the same time, you also have to realize that there's going to be two types of people that find you in your comments. There's going to be people who are genuinely interested in the topic that you're talking about or are from whatever genre, the horror genre, or maybe the guests that you have on, and who are leaving an honest review of how they feel. And then there's the general public who have no fucking idea, didn't understand a single thing that was said. And we've gotten this a lot actually, where we will do a video on something specific and someone will say, why the fuck did you do this video? It's so fucking stupid. I hate the topic. So like Halloween, we did something on the origins of Halloween, and a girl had commented something like, this is so fucking stupid. Why did you even bother doing this? It's so dumb. I fucking hate Halloween. It's like, then why are you here?
Yeah. Why did you?
Why did you watch a video on Halloween if you hate Halloween that
Yeah.
much? Why are you here?
Yeah.
So like there's people who are generally going to give you an honest review. There are people who just want to see you fail and do badly. There's general public who are fucking clueless and just stumbled upon you and going, what is this? Oh my God, you're so weird. This is not normal. And then you know that they're just not your fucking target audience, and that's fine.
Right.
One of my favorite types of comments are when people correct themselves.
Mhm.
Best.
And when they backpedal,
Well, no,
Yeah.
like they'll be watching a video, and as they're watching it, they're typing it, and I love it. They're engaged, and they go, "Oh, well, you call yourself a professional," which I never do. You call yourself a professional, and yet you did not mention this.
Yeah.
Oh,
you just did.
they go, and then they edit it. If I would have waited like an extra minute, you did. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just you can see people's thoughts.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it amuses me.
But constructive criticism also kind of pisses me off in a way. You
Yeah.
know, like I've had a couple of people who are like, dude, little piece of advice, research. I'm like, do you guys expect me to know everything in the fucking
No.
world? Is it not cool to not know things?
But that also depends on the person who's doing the interview. Like research is different to different people.
Right.
Not everyone is going to do the exact same thing the same way. And honest to God, we say this all the time. If you don't like what we're doing to the point where you're being that nasty, go do it yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you don't like the way that we're making it, baby, go do it for you. Make it how you want to see it, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
I love that.
Did I ever tell you the Grim Life Collective formula?
No.
So there's a formula to how we do videos. The success of the Grim Life Collective. The success of the Grim Life Collective. It cuts out like when I say collective. It's not really a recipe, but
Damn it. I was like taking mental note. I was like,
so,
yes.
so every time we do a video, let me give an example. The grave of Brittany Murphy.
Mm.
All right. We did a video where we went to her house and we went to her grave and we talked about what happened. Every time we do a video, it's based on something that interests us. So when we did that video, people said, you did a great video, but you forgot to mention this movie. You forgot to mention this movie.
Oh,
You
all the
forgot
stuff that
to
she'd appeared in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every time we do a video, we
At her
try.
house?
No.
Oh.
We started this because it was Clueless. It's a scene from Clueless in front of this house, which is the witch house in Beverly Hills. But there's a scene where Alicia Silverstone's character is walking and thought past it. So we started.
Can't
the
you
video.
tell I'm a schoolgirl in this?
Oh yeah.
So every time we do a video, well, we backtrack. There are channels on YouTube, when you go and you watch them, it's almost like they have a complete script that they wrote out or stole it from Wikipedia. Meaning it starts off, on Monday the 27th, the moon was in retrograde and it was 3:33 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jessica walked 4 miles down the road to get to the witch house, which is built in 1912 by Thomas McLaughlin. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? You as a fan going to visit Brittany Murphy are not going to go, I loved her in this movie. I loved her in that commercial because she got her start in a commercial when she was 6 years old. You're going to go and visit her grave because of a movie that you love.
That meant something to you.
That's the only thing we talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You as a viewer, you're going to watch it and go, oh yeah, but I also remember this. I also
Right.
remember this. Now, the weird thing is there are people who send us negative troll-like comments based on, you forgot to mention this stuff. And it's like, no, we didn't.
I chose not to
I
mention
just don't know that movie. Like,
Or I chose not to mention it.
yeah.
Or it wasn't my favorite one.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
talking
we're
about what
here
I
for
like.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's interesting.
and
how people
that
do
keeps it personal. Every video stays personal and it's something that means something to us. So we're not sitting there going, yeah, that Pepsi commercial was really cool. It got her start.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
But I also feel like we should normalize not knowing things. Like that is totally fine. And it makes
Absolutely
people
fine.
interesting, especially when you're able to admit that you don't know something.
Yeah.
It makes somebody so much more interesting, you know, because there's the negative stigma of being a know-it-all. And that's also a thing. So I don't know. But
Teach
like,
me something. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I love learning new topics about things. I think that's awesome.
And I think the biggest thing that bothers me in the YouTube community. Wow, that comes with a punch, doesn't it?
yeah.
The biggest thing that bothers me in the YouTube community are trespassers.
What do you mean by that?
It drives me up the wall.
Like people who go to locations without permission?
Yeah, or they'll break and enter into a
jumpers.
place, or they'll gate jumpers. They'll go into a place, and it's always like the same kind of people for the most part.
Or ambulance chasers. That was a word you guys added to my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a couple weeks ago, we were going through YouTube, just scrolling. We don't watch anybody. We don't. Everybody's like, what channels do you watch? We don't. And we just kind of like doom scroll through YouTube. What sounds interesting. I never really search anything, even though we exist in it. And we came across this video that was like 3 hours, had almost 10 million views or some crazy thing like that. And it was this guy. I didn't watch the video, but he seems to be popular. I'm not knocking him. But he did a video about infiltrating a cult, the Scientologists. And so I was like, I'm interested. How did this video in this short amount of time get so many views? What am I missing here? Or what, like, again, what are you doing that I'm not, that's making you more successful? It's that not jealousy, but you want to know.
Yeah.
Curiosity.
And the very first thing out of his mouth in this thing was, what made me risk going to jail, hefty fines, and to have this happen to me just so I can make this video? And I was like, I'm out. I stopped watching it. Like, why would you do that?
Interesting. I thought that was a pretty good hook.
Well, it is a pretty good hook, but like, you're deceiving so many people.
Yeah.
You're lying. You're sneaking into places to get the footage that he wants so he can get the views and make the
Secretly
money.
recording.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's not something that I want to be a part of.
Well, I saw some pretty gross things with the whole Rob Reiner situation. Like people were showing up outside of that dude's house. Did you guys see that TMZ video of like a streamer getting arrested because he
No.
refused to leave?
No.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought of the term ambulance chasers because it was like the day after it happened.
Yeah.
You know, so at what point do you guys feel like, I mean, because the story's very fascinating. I mean, especially because it was his own son. Do you guys have like a time period to be like, okay, this is fascinating. This may be something we want to cover. Or do you guys just basically go based off of like vibes maybe?
Vibes.
Okay.
100% vibes.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different instances. I'm not going to mention any names, but there are people out there in the YouTube community that exist we're not friends with them, but they exist in our circle of people. The biggest one that the best example I could find is the Uvalde,
Texas.
the
Oh, the
Texas, the
school.
middle
Yeah,
school. When that happened, after it happened, and then the community and everybody was coming from all over the world and putting flowers in front of that school.
Mm-hmm.
A YouTuber went there. I hate the word YouTuber, by the way, but they went there and they're like, I'm here. Want you to come with me. We're going to do this. And to me, that was like,
Yeah.
that was not the right vibe.
You see that a lot where people will use the guise of paying our respects at something that's just happened.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they're blending in with the mourners,
Right.
but what they're doing is shock value.
Yeah. Well, you guys did, I think it was an Instagram reel, and I actually loved that you guys did this, but Adam the Woo, he just recently passed. I was
Mhm.
never too big of a fan of his channel, but just about everybody I know loved that guy.
Mhm.
And, what a terrible thing. Gone way too soon. But you guys put up like a nice video of him on your guys' Instagram. And it was nice to see you guys were remembering him as a human being as opposed to like chasing the story that he suddenly passed.
Aside from that video and a little post, we really haven't said much about Adam. And we knew Adam. Adam knew
Personally.
us.
Yeah.
We were we would see each other at different events. We would show up in each other's videos here and there. We only filmed together once, and that was during this video where we called it the Cemetery Squad, which is the one where we talk about John Ritter. But Adam and I, we talked here and there. Nothing like Justin Scard. We weren't like super close, but Adam was a good guy, and we would bounce, I wouldn't say creative ideas, but like I remember when we were getting ready to go to Italy, I reached out to him and I was like, hey, are you going to go? Maybe we can like do Popeye's Village together because it's a bucket list item for us and it's a bucket list item for you. How amazing would that be for us and as well for viewers? And he couldn't make it. I'm so glad, so happy that he actually made it before he passed.
That's the trip he was coming back from.
Yeah. And I remember he sent me a text saying, dude, I made it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel comfortable. We didn't feel comfortable making a video where we were standing in a park or talking about this. And because there really wasn't much there. Like there wasn't like this deep-hearted connection that a lot of these people were having. Instead of being on the fan aspect of it, where it's like, oh my God, like I watch him every single day. It was more of like a creative partnership. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Where, and so when he
We
passed,
considered each other's friends, but
Yeah.
we weren't best friends.
Yeah.
so I found it really hard to just kind of like talk about it with people. And since then, people have come up and said, hey, I'm sorry about Adam. And I said, thank you. And I'm sorry too. Excuse me. But the more I thought about Adam, it wasn't Popeye. It was that video we did together where
People in our comments who didn't see that we actually did make a dedication to Adam because it wasn't a full-fledged video, because we were still putting out our content that we've had from our travels when this happened, because life goes on. You still have to pay your bills. Just because a family member or a friend dies doesn't mean that your work doesn't expect you to come in the next day.
Yeah.
Maybe not the next day depending on the level of, family member, but life goes on and you still got a 9 to 5 or whatever job that is that you're doing. So you have your mourning period and you keep on keeping on, because that's how we live our life. And we put out one of our videos, not super close to the date that it happened, but we'd already scheduled it for that day. And there was actually people in our comments saying, how dare you do this so close to his death? How dare you?
unsubscribe.
How dare you make content? Have you no respect? And it's like, what? What does that have to do with it?
Which is ridiculous because you guys personally knew him. It's
Yeah.
like there's
And they
prob-
didn't see that we'd already done a dedication anyway. But
Yeah.
I think the comment was something like, how dare you? Do you have no respect?
Mhm.
So close to his date, how dare you do this? It's like, what does that have to do with anything? What's the connection?
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. It really does. I remember seeing that and I was shocked. I maybe watched a couple of his videos and I always knew that he was like so full of life. In fact, we went to the hayride a long time ago. He was walking right past us, and one of my buddies was super stoked, and he walked up to him, and the guy gave him the time of day. He didn't stop. He had his camera out and everything, and he stopped and he talked to the dude. I mean,
He
I
always
didn't-
did.
Yeah, and I wasn't too familiar with him at the time, so I didn't, chat very much. It's kind of just off in the background, but it shed light on something that, because we were talking about it earlier with making content. We're all naturally insecure about this stuff.
Mm.
And I feel like if there's anything, I mean, especially if you know somebody, it's always good to tell somebody that you care about them and that you're thinking about them when you are. But I think if you're a fan of somebody's channel, it is good to reach out to these people and let them know, especially as other creators. Things could get so competitive out there.
Mhm.
And, I think this is a message to everybody at home, even making content, like build your circle and let them know that you love their stuff, and I hope that he does know that he was so loved by everybody. Cause
He definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. I mean,
did.
the outpour of mourning that came out was shocking. I mean, TMZ reported on it.
Yeah, it was
which is
everywhere,
amazing.
including over in England.
Yeah. A couple of billboards too, I saw.
Yeah.
There's
So-
definitely a level of disconnect between being a content creator and a fan, for sure, because our numbers are, I think we're coming up on 800,000.
Mhm.
Every single one of those numbers is a full fucking fledged human being.
Yeah.
And we still every day when we put out something go, oh God, they're going to fucking rip me open for this, or people are going to hate it, or
Yeah.
there is a big disconnect. But I mean, at the same time, we know that we're loved by a lot of people because they let us know, and we don't always get to let our fellow content creators know that we love them too, but you kind of hope they do because you're friends and you mentioned
Yeah.
it once upon a time.
Right.
You still follow each other,
Yeah.
and you're still supporting. But it's hard to let everybody know every single day. And I think
Exactly.
we do that just by being here.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel that. And I agree. It is probably difficult to reach out to 70 different people every day. Hey, I love you. I love your content. But yeah, man, it's you sniff something?
I even had a fight
I
recently
can
with my
hear me.
mom regarding stuff like this,
Yeah.
because I don't contact her enough,
Mm-hmm.
because
Same.
we're stupidly busy. And it's like, listen, I know I don't, but know that I love you and I do what I can.
But that's just a mom thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moms love guilt. My mom's the same way.
Yeah.
You don't call me enough. It's like we talked 3 times. I talked to you more than I talked to anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. Yes.
So on your guys' travels and traveling the world and constantly doing these conventions, it is surprising to me how positive you guys are able to keep it. It's almost like you guys are completely, I don't want to say used to it, to downplay it, but you guys have found a process that works for you. And, doing something and traveling this much could either make or break somebody.
Mm.
And you guys have found a comfort in doing this. And you guys have embedded it into your own lives to where, I was talking to, in fact, my mom. And she goes, you need to be able to separate your personal life from work. And I'm like, well, that's the issue. Like, work is my personal life now,
Yeah.
because when you love it this much, it's hard to
But
think
when you
of
put this
anything
much
else.
time into it, this much, it really, you don't have a personal life anymore.
Yeah. Well, I like to look at it more like it is my personal life.
Yeah.
Because I'm into it. It's my hobby. It's what I
Mhm.
like to do. Some people like baseball or sports, which you guys are not allowed to speak on.
Never heard of it.
I heard they do stuff with balls. I don't-
Spores? Spores?
Yeah, Spores, The Last of
Oh.
Us.
Do you know that there was, I wouldn't say a while, but there was a group of people somehow way back when we first moved to California. Because at this point, when we moved to California, we were living in Florida. We were leaving Florida all the time to film. And we were kind of overdoing filming in theme parks. It was just we didn't like the rat race of filming in theme parks. It's a thing. They should make a reality show about theme park vloggers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
crazy.
a special on it somewhere. I'm sure there is.
But when we moved out to California and we really started creating a paved road for ourselves, like what we are, when we found our voice, when we knew what our voice was, people started calling us Adam the Boo.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
The thing that I take with Adam, that I take along with me all the time, is just knowing that he was an absolute teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
And that just makes me happy. I'd rather look at someone's death and celebrate their life than being really depressed over their passing. I know that it's going to suck that they're not going to have like new content coming out with him all the time, but you have so much still that you can revisit. You know,
Yeah.
we're losing actors and celebrities every day, and it really sucks, but just take the goodness that you have with it and take that with you every day. You know, say, man, it really hurts me that I've lost him, but this is what he gave me that I can take into my daily life,
Yeah.
and he can move me forward in that way.
Well,
And that's like one of the constructive ways to take it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's really cool about YouTube. It's like it kind of immortalizes you in
Yeah.
a way.
The internet is forever.
Yeah. I hope so. I talked to somebody about that once and they were like, well, if they don't take down YouTube, I was like, I can't see a world where YouTube doesn't exist.
I mean, Vine was short-lived, wasn't it?
Yeah, Vine.
I never
yeah.
got into Vine.
I just read something interesting earlier this morning when I woke up, that you know how like they have every couple years on Valentine's Day, the world is going to end.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing?
You know, it does that. Yeah.
2012.
Yeah,
I remember that.
2012 or like
Okay.
1999, December 31st.
I thought it was like
everything's going to go.
specifically Valentine's Day because I was like, that's fucking metal.
I just found that there's a new one out where supposedly it's real,
Great.
that there's a date coming up in the future where, and NASA knows about this, that gravity is not going to exist for 7.3 seconds.
Jesus. My
Can you
God.
imagine 7.3 seconds?
How is that even possible?
If you're outside, how high you'd go until it hits it, and then all of a sudden you fall back down, or if you're here, you hit the ceiling. Like, who's safe?
God.
Like 40 million people are supposed to die, according to this article.
I feel like everybody on Earth would fucking die.
7.3 seconds.
Well, because the only way that gravity would end is if the world stopped moving.
Your channel has officially been labeled spreading misinformation.
Have you ever heard of that that theory that Earth, the poles of Earth rotate every X amount of years, and that we're due for a rotation of the poles?
Yeah.
And so
That
apparently,
feels vaguely familiar.
well, in biblical settings, that's apparently what caused the Great Flood. When,
I thought that was God.
well, symbolically,
You know how you
yes.
can test this?
How?
This is how you can test that this theory is true.
Hmm.
Right? You have an ice tray,
Yes.
fill it with water, put it in your freezer. You'll see that the ice cubes are freezing on a tilt, an angle.
I don't even know if that's true. The shocking truth pole reversals. Could Earth magnetic poles flip? Earth's magnetic poles switch irregularly, averaging about every 200,000 to 300,000 years, but intervals vary widely. So that would be absolutely fucking catastrophic.
How do they know enough about it to put out a figure?
Well,
That is true. I always wonder that. Like, who?
we've been
Science is
collecting
wild.
data since 1812.
Oh.
At least we know that.
Right. Yeah, they've been collecting Google data since fucking.
I do technically know it's because of the way the Earth layers itself, and then the poles with the metals in the Earth that goes certain.
Son of a bitch, Rusty's bringing the science.
Yeah.
Hey, God, yeah, you don't know science.
Damn gingers.
This is awesome. I don't know, like we're like breaking the fourth wall here, the fourth dimension. Now pull up the gravity 7.3 seconds thing. This will blow your mind, man.
Yeah, I need my mind blown.
I ate too many Swedish fish this morning.
Did you really?
No, I don't like fish.
Especially if they're Swedish.
So,
Swedish?
The idea of Earth losing gravity for 7.3 seconds is an internet hoax. Okay, but that's not fun. We got to click something that.
that's
tells
what they
us-
want you to think.
Yeah.
Why do you go to Snopes for that one, but not the other thing? I feel he's in on
August
it.
12th, okay.
Look at that.
A new conspiracy theory claiming that a catastrophic event will strike Earth for 7 seconds on August 12th, 2026. Jesus, that's coming up. According to the theory, the Earth will experience a brief gravity blackout during which gravity will completely switch off.
He was drunk.
So I'm curious.
Project Anchor.
I wonder like what the theories are, like what will happen. You know, they make those like visualization videos where they're
Yeah.
like, this is what would happen if Earth's gravity went out.
So, well, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I have a bit of a religious background to the point where I almost went to school to become a priest.
Yeah.
We talk about this?
Mhm.
The last interview?
Yeah.
When I was little, I was afraid of the rapture.
Yeah.
To me, the
Oh,
idea
yeah.
that was just absolutely terrifying. That like the person next to me would be completely gone, or just like sucked up into the air or something. I mean,
Right.
ugh.
No, I agree. I mean, that was like our first. I feel like growing up, because I grew up in a Catholic family as well. that had embedded a lot of fears in me. You
The
know, that-
rapture?
Yeah.
yes. I mean, the Bible in general,
Okay.
but the rapture specifically.
I did not grow up in a household with religion. It was believed in my home. It just wasn't practiced.
Yeah.
So like, I think technically my grandmother was one of the people that had religious beliefs, but it was never shared in my home.
Okay, let's play this.
Oh, it's a thing. Oh, it's a ticky-tock.
NASA, space, aliens, gravity.
She looks
Let's
drunk.
talk about my second favorite topic. So I saw this yesterday and this morning, and I actually thought it was pretty interesting. It randomly came up on my For You page. So it says on August 12th, 2026, so this coming August, the world will lose gravity for 7 seconds, NASA knows. They are preparing but won't let us know why. So according to the article that I read attached to that, it's saying that this is some project called Project Anchor that NASA has an $89 billion budget for. And the plan is to see if Earth can survive losing gravity. How they're going to do this, why they're going to do this, none of this the article talked about. You guys kind of know, if you've been following me for a minute, how I feel about NASA, and we can just go ahead and reference the moonwalk on that one. Do I think they do some good things? For sure. Do I think they waste money? Absolutely. It's not really giving us any information, and now they're labeling it like the conspiracy theorists are talking about this. So my question to you guys, especially people that follow it a little more than I do we know what this is? Is it true? Is it gonna happen? Somebody explain it to me. Or is this just some more internet hype? But they're claiming it has something to do with that black hole or whatever that is. There's better terms that I don't know. And that's what's gonna cause us to lose the gravity for 7 seconds. Doesn't seem like a long time, but think about a 7-second earthquake at a 9.0. What do we think about this? Conspiracy or something that NASA's probably really doing?
We're on the same page as you, lady.
So she said something that caught my attention. She said she feels that NASA should be spending money in better ways. They're just wasting money. Has anybody ever done a scientific experiment on why some farts last longer than others, the smell?
So see, that's the important question.
Right?
Yeah, we need to understand that
Some it
immediately.
lingers and some it's gone.
Exactly. Like,
I
what's
feel
going
like
on with that?
this is a direct result of people wondering for far too long which side of the bread will land face up.
Right.
And they just want to like accelerate it on
Yeah.
a different level. And they're like, you know what? I've done the butter thing. We've used peanut butter. We've used jelly. I've done it with a cat. I'm going to strap to a cat.
Yep.
You know what? Let's just see if we can't pause gravity indefinitely for maybe not indefinitely. Like 7 seconds is like a good figure, right? I feel like someone was really fucking stoned and like playing around with a loaf of bread in their kitchen and their cat and like some peanut butter.
There was a time where, I mean, it was probably around
You
the
guys
start.
just completely blew over my fart comment.
No, I love it.
I was like, serious, man. I'm
No.
going to contact UCLA.
We should become scientists.
Scientists.
I can really study the real universe's mysteries of farts. No. Sorry, what did you say?
Fart propulsion at NASA.
There, right?
We got to get him a mic.
JPL.
So yeah, no, I was smoking a lot of weed in my early 20s, like a
Same.
little too much.
Yeah.
And I remember randomly sitting on my couch. Actually, I was watching Beetlejuice, and you remember when she goes to the afterlife and there's all those dead people?
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about like what I would look like dead if I were in that waiting room, and it was like my first existential crisis. But then somehow my mind got onto the fact that we're in the universe and that we're just literally a planet floating throughout the universe. And I'm like, oh my God, meteorites, asteroids, that shit is fucking frightening to think that we could just get slammed at any moment.
Have you ever been so impaired or high that you could feel gravity and like the rotation of the earth?
No, but I need whatever you were smoking.
Yeah. Occasionally. Well, I have experienced this, and I wasn't like fucked up on something every time it happened, but I go through these weird periods where I feel like I can feel like different planes of existence and things like that. And occasionally it also includes feeling the rotation of the earth.
Yeah. Well, interdimensional existence, I think, could possibly be real and explain.
It has been proven. We have 5.
Really?
We may have more than 5 now, yeah.
Well, I think that possibly explains ghosts or
Yeah,
the paranormal.
very possibly, yeah.
And why farts mysteriously disappear.
Yeah. It goes into the 5th dimension.
It's the toot dimension.
Yeah. at 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Not nearly long enough. We need at least 2 more hours.
Yeah, I know, right? I think the longest episode I've ever done was 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're about.
Let's break that record.
We can. I mean, shit. We just got to pull up some more studies on farts.
No. I was just kidding.
I'm just kidding. We're not going to pull up anything on farts. And I also like that this is probably the longest time on the show I've ever talked about farts. So it's always a first with you guys. You guys always bring a.
You mean to
bundle
tell
of
me
surprises.
it's lingering?
Yeah, it's a lingering conversation of farts. Well, I guess we could play a little bit of a. Okay, we don't need to know the answer to this unless you were really curious.
What's that?
He pulled it up.
Oh, I didn't see it. Some farts.
I feel like this is becoming like a TED Talk.
Linger more
The
due
worst
to
TED
their
Talk ever.
chemical makeup, especially higher levels of foul-smelling hydrogen.
It's called lactose intolerance, okay?
Yeah. I don't know science.
You don't know science.
God damn it! I was going to say something. Okay, you know what? Let's we'll pivot. What are you guys excited in terms of movies? We'll get out of the somber, apocalyptic, dying stuff, and we'll get into the entertainment industry.
Okay.
A lot of cool movies coming out recently.
Yes.
Bone Temple, I think, is going to be pretty fucking cool. Is there anything you guys are excited to see in 2026?
That's one of those questions that as soon as you ask it, there's like 6 that I really want to see, and I can't remember a single one.
Yeah, we recently joined the AMC A-lister club thing.
Why AMC?
Well, we travel a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and the AMC, we can go to AMC across the country and see as many movies as we want for up to a week on any screen, whether it's IMAX or 3D.
I think they have the most theaters across the United States.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
that's a good.
So it was important to us because the only reason why we didn't join it was up until they offered that level, you can only see it in your state.
Mhm.
You know, you picked a home theater and stuff, but now if we wanted to, like, we can go see one here, we can go see one in Chicago, we have a down day where we get rained out, we can go see one in New York. So that's what we've done. And we've been to the theater a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typically we hate going to theaters because, I mean, we love the act of going to the cinema and the joy of the cinema, but we hate people who talk.
Yeah.
It's annoying. And yes, we're talking to you.
Do you talk in movie theaters?
I was pointing at the camera,
Rusty.
not Rusty.
Oh, I was like, Rusty. I
Yeah.
don't think he talks in movies.
I saw an article that somebody was actually arrested in Quentin Tarantino's theater.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking. And I was
Yeah.
like, bravo.
No, he
Bravo.
was on his phone.
Was he on his phone?
Yeah. Josh Safdie was in attendance for that.
We went to go see Eggers' Nosferatu at the Alamo Draft House, and that was a beautiful experience
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because they do not allow anything.
Yeah.
Like no talking, nothing, which is cool.
I think that really needs to come back to the mainstream theaters, that you have ushers that stay in while a film is on, and if anybody starts talking or doing anything that's disruptive, you're pulled out.
Right.
That used to be a thing, and they don't enforce that anymore.
They have these features now, like with Cinemark. I know Alamo Draft House has it, where you could order chicken fingers to your seat
Mhm.
while the movie is going. I get it. You don't want people on their phones, whatever. But they should incorporate a feature where you could report ridiculous activity
Mhm.
in a seat.
Like
Anonymously.
anonymously hit a button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just press
I
it.
love calling people out.
Do you?
Oh yeah, we call people out.
Oh, I've yelled at people in theaters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, I get scared. I'm like, oh, God damn
It's
it.
like we have a bingo card. No.
I feel it. There's one time I fully expected to fight somebody after a movie.
Yeah.
Me personally, I was going to fight them.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. If somebody back talked me after I felt like I was in the right because they were talking
Yeah.
in a movie, I could see myself getting into a full-on brawl in a movie
Yeah.
theater. Because some people are just totally disrespectful, and I feel like it is a sacred place. There's nothing like being at a movie theater when you watch it at home, which is why I haven't seen Guillermo's Frankenstein yet, which I really want to. You guys were the first people to tell me that.
We should order a pizza and just sit at your house after this and just, instead of going out,
And
just
watch
watch
it.
Frankenstein.
do it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking down with
Unless
that.
you're the type of person who needs, like, shut up, I gotta watch this.
I kind of am.
Oh,
Are you guys
screw
not
you
that
then.
way?
We do.
We're pausers.
See, I'll pause
no.
anytime.
He likes to tell me facts and things about films. I am a watch it in silence person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like disturb, unless it's not a serious film. If we're just throwing on something for background music or, you know, a lighthearted whatever while we're doing other things, that's
Mhm.
fine. But if I'm interested in seeing this, we've done our dinner, we've
Yeah.
gotten cozy, we're getting it, all the lights are off. Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Alex will be like, "You've seen this movie 100 times." I'm like, "It doesn't matter."
I love it. I like
Yeah.
it. What?
When it comes to seeing movies in theaters, there was a while that which theater chain do you go to most of the time?
Most of the time, probably Cinemark, but I go to
Cinemark.
all of them.
So we try to stick with the AMC even before we became members, right? And we would travel, we'd go see a movie, we'd see it at an AMC screen, and we're like, "Why, man, that was so dark. There's something wrong with that screen." Then we go to another one to see a different movie. Like we got invited by IMAX headquarters to go see The Conjuring 4 before it came out. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely amazing. So many beautiful colors. And then we went to an AMC in New York to
No,
see
I
it.
couldn't make that. I was sick.
Yeah.
So just you went.
So I went. And then I took her, we went to go see Conjuring 4 at an IMAX theater in New York. And it was so dark you couldn't see anything. I'm like, what is, like the screen was so dim.
Mm-hmm.
He kept looking at me and I kept noticing he wanted to say something, but I was like, you've seen this? Tell me later.
It was so bad that I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And then we went to go see the new Jurassic Park with Scarlett Johansson.
Terrible movie.
And it was so dark. And I was like, what the hell's going on? We found out that for the same price, for the basically the same price, there was AMC, there's the digital, there was laser, and then IMAX and all that stuff and D-Box or whatever. We won't see a movie unless it's laser or higher.
Yeah.
The regular digital is just crap.
Same. Yeah,
So-
no, I'll skip a movie entirely or try and find another theater in town that's playing it in IMAX. Some of them just get standard releases though, and that pisses me off.
Like, I just don't understand, like, at this point in the game, I mean, I understand not many people are going, but at this point in the game, if you're going to be charging an astronomical amount of money for somebody to go to a movie theater, especially if they have a family, better be a really good experience. Don't put me in a dark room where I have to squint and go,
Yeah.
is that the main character?
Why is 3D still a thing? Does anybody
3D
actually
is
enjoy
amazing.
3D?
Yes.
You guys enjoy 3D?
For
We
years,
saw it recently with Avatar.
yeah, for years we had a 3D TV, and we have 3D junkies. We love 3D.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, Spy Kids 3D, they did it right in Spy Kids 3D. Or, I mean, even Friday the 13th 3D. They did it right. There's things that pop out at the screen, but now I just feel like it's just a depth device, you know?
With Avatar, it was very smooth and it was actually really nice.
I think at this point,
But there were no gimmicks.
No.
Yeah.
I
love
think
gimmicks.
Avatar Fire and Ash, the new one that just came out,
Loved it.
is, and I don't, in my personal opinion, and I think it's the same with yours, the 3D in that is the bench line.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less than that is just crap. There's no gimmicks. Instead, it was almost like, like with
It's like a new technology 3D though. It's not
Yeah.
like the old stuff.
But it's almost like in most 3D movies, there's those gimmicks that you're talking about, like where
Yeah.
there's something coming at you or something. James Cameron in Avatar, the 3D was the whole environment.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of it being a gimmick, you barely even noticed it, but you noticed it because it was everywhere.
It expanded the world.
It was
Interesting.
wild to see. So I recommend go see it. in
But
3D.
also Avatar films were filmed in succession. So, I mean, it was probably filmed however many years ago and it was filmed in 3D for 3D.
Yeah.
So I think it maybe has a different appearance than some others that might come out in 3D. But aside from something like Avatar, I don't know if I'd actually go see another movie in 3D.
Yeah.
'Cause I actually get, I think it's called LED sickness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get
know
that
what you're
with
saying.
like 3D stuff. So I tend not to.
Leadhead.
I'm a lead head. It's fine.
Well, I think we've
There's
tapped
one
it
more
all.
question on your thing.
Man, you wrote something. All right, let's see.
That's what happens when you go to the bathroom too much.
I know. And here's the crazy part. I have to go again. Ask about the walrus effect.
I wasn't in that movie.
Is it a movie?
No, we weren't in that
I have
movie.
no idea.
That was somebody else.
Well, it flopped, and that was a great closing question. I think it was amazing. Well, I honestly appreciate you guys taking the time to come and do the show again.
Of course, we love you.
And we love you guys more than you love us.
Impossible.
And-
That is not possible.
And just
We're
so
in,
you
a
know,
we're in a love competition now.
so that was based off of another reel. That was my little version of the reel.
The real?
Well, like John Cusack sat down to do an interview
Uh-huh.
And he's sitting there, and like the room is like a press junket. And this woman, she walks in, she's doing the report. And as she's getting ready, she's sitting down. She's like, "Oh, this is so amazing that I'm finally getting to sit down and do this interview with you. It's so funny because my friend is in class watching your movie American Beauty today."
Oh, yeah.
And he's like,
I was
"Why
in
is that
that.
funny?" And she was like, "Well, you were in that." He's like, "No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
That was somebody else."
Yeah, I
But,
saw that. She was thinking of the wrong guy.
Kevin Spacey.
Yep.
Yep.
American Beauty's a fucking
I
classic.
don't think I would
Yeah.
ever confuse those two.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Wow,
Weird things happen.
it does.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
And mice.
and mice, and everything in between, thank them for being here with me.
Did you pick all of the movies that are in that? Did you say, I want these movies?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Every single one of them. What he gave me, everything was completely different. So we went in and photoshopped everything. I think minus like the Fangoria magazine, I believe, was already there. And that one down there, that little bottom of the Fangoria magazine you could see was already there. And then underneath the table, there's a bunch of toys that I didn't put, but the posters on the wall and every VHS case.
I love it.
And the
Yeah.
Talks from the Crypt one up at the top.
Never heard of it.
Well, sweet guys. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody at home could follow you guys. I mean, they know your guys' stuff, but at Grim Life Collective, at Witchy. Now, is it Dame?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cause someone said Dom once. I was like, I think it's Dame.
Dame,
It's-
witchy dame.
Pronounced Dame.
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 That's
No.
a different profession.
Yeah, witchy
Yeah, right.
dame.
And I hope you create a YouTube channel. I think that would be fun. And it's a good expansion for you guys. And it'd be interesting. So at Grim Life Collective on YouTube. And that's about it, guys. We're wrapping. Double-handed peace.
Oh, we recently learned how to do a sign language for Happy Halloween.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's Happy Halloween.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So metal.
Happy Halloween,
Happy
everybody.
Halloween.